Melissa Brady, Fox News. UPS reaching a tentative agreement with the Teamsters Union to avoid a strike next week that could have cost the economy billions.
I'm proud to say we reached a historic deal with UPS. It's a $30 billion deal that will go in the pockets of all our members, both full-time and part.
Hey there, what? Hey, how's it going?
Happy Tuesday. Today's YouTube live chat poll is asking, who's the worst? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, or someone else?
I want to add in here that these aren't people who I think are the worst. I don't think Donald Trump is the worst. But I want to know how many of you might think that Donald Trump is the worst. Because if you were to think right now the top 3 people in politics that make people's skin crawl, just people, not us, or not specifically the audience,
people.
Can you think of anybody else who is worse than that? Those 3? Probably in total?
I think those
Hillary
are the
Clinton,
top
maybe.
3.
But she's kind of irrelevant right now.
Make people's skin crawl. AOC, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Just not.
They're not
impactful.
Yeah.
When you only have 4 slots.
Yeah.
Right.
So those are the 3. I don't think Donald Trump is the worst. I'm saying that from the top here, but maybe you do. And I'm really kind of hoping that at the end it's a low percentage. But the someone else, Hannah, I want you, if you start seeing a trend of someone I missed, you can give us an update on.
For sure.
Who that might be.
I will be watching the comments all throughout the show. Once again, the poll is asking, who's the worst? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, or someone else. So drop a comment of who you picked and why, especially if you picked someone else. Let us know who that was and why in the comments.
So here is what's going on the show today outside of the thesis of who's the worst.
The worst.
Who is the worst?
It's like when I ask my kids to do the dishes. Oh, Mom, that's the worst.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's the worst. Can you
I could
believe?
put the dishes on there, actually.
That would easily win, though.
I'd vote for it.
Yeah. Can you do the dishes? Oh, Mom, Kamala Harris is the worst. That's how this poll question
Okay,
happened.
what's in the show?
So at 12:25 here, just shortly, Andy McCarthy is going to be on the show. It's always fun when he's on because that means something is going on, which it is today. We're talking about the pending indictment with Trump, and then
January 6th.
January 6th.
Yeah, the January
Right, 'cause they're like,
Yeah,
which one? So we're talking about that, but then flip the coin, and you're talking about the problems that Biden is having too legally with the Devon Archer is Monday. Is that right?
That's last we've heard.
Okay.
Was
So
Monday.
he could. I've been following. I don't know his name that well, but I have been following him. He's the one that could really say, here's exactly what was going on. So there's a lot. There's a lot there
Little caveat with Andy McCarthy though. The grand jury is meeting
now.
and if a Trump indictment drops before we have him on, there's a chance that he will have to cancel with us.
Yeah.
But then we'll be covering.
We'll be having that'll
Yeah,
be
but
happening.
We'll
So
actually probably still carry him.
yeah. Here's Andy McCarthy, just
Either
not
way.
directly to us. But it's fun when he's on the show because it usually means something like that's going on.
An indictment? So you would be voting Donald Trump in the poll because you
No.
want him to be indicted because you think he's the worst.
He's
Think
like,
you're-
it's the best. Because indictments are fun.
Indictments increases poll
We're
numbers.
getting better at him.
Practice makes perfect.
All right, keep going.
We're going to talk right after that in Wiggins America. I'm just going to say Snow White. That's all I'm going to say, Snow White. And then at 1:05, Jim Carafano, regular Heritage guest, we're going to talk about, well, you guys are going to be talking about the border, China, drugs, border,
Mainly the border.
really border, like the feds coming after Texas for trying to enforce the border is unbelievable. So listen to that at 1:05.
The poll is going to be posted in just a second.
Yeah, you can vote on the poll when it's up. So stay
It's just
tuned for
gonna
the poll.
be like
Soon.
seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moments.
Thank you for letting us know. You guys are great. The other day.
Ryan's responsible for the poll, and you just.
No.
I'm going to have to do it today
Yeah.
for him.
Yeah. Thank you. Obviously, it's my error if anything goes wrong. Like the other day when you could all hear us all talking during the breaks. Clearly my fault.
Turned out it was your computer.
Actually, that's true. So my fault. Sorry, Hannah. Sorry, Brad. Sorry,
Hold up.
Annie.
Poll is up, so now vote in it.
I did not put the poll up today. I
I know,
can tell you
'cause I
that.
had to do it.
Annie had to put it up. Craziest thing. And there it is. You know, practice makes perfect, like we said before.
Vote in the poll now. Once again, who's the worst? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump,
Ooh,
or
everyone
someone
has a vote
else?
except for Trump right now. What?
Is your stinger up?
Ooh, I see somebody.
Hey, the
you
temperature on
already
my
started.
computer, I have a climate thing down here. It doesn't say temperature. It just says very hot weather.
That's when you know it's very hot weather.
I don't know. I feel
Okay,
like
we're
it's
getting
about
ready to
70
go in,
here.
guys.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
If there's going to be an indictment here in Washington, D.C. on the special counsel's January 6th investigation, it could come as early as tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time, when the grand jury is here in the courthouse. The January 6th grand jury tends to meet on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Ed, and the magistrate judge tends to sit at 1 p.m. Eastern time to hear his or her caseload. That's the soonest it could happen, but there's certainly no date on the calendar that's a date certain. There's no indictment that is certain. All we can say is the target letter that Trump acknowledged and announced and that we have confirmed is an indication the federal prosecution is likely, if not imminent. You want to measure this by days and weeks, not by months and years.
So there you have that little report from CBS's Scott McFarland talking about a potential third indictment happening Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. That was 7 minutes ago. So we're watching and we're waiting to see what happens next. Another potential indictment for Donald Trump. And that was kind of the news that boiled up and surfaced last week. We don't know that Trump is going to be indicted at all. He might not be indicted at all. But if precedent follows here, when the president, Donald Trump, received that letter, which he was specifically unhappy that it came on a Sunday night. He's like, who sends a letter on Sunday night? And I'm like, is that your concern right now, Sunday night? If he gets indicted again, we're going to have all the coverage right here. And I'm very excited that in a little bit less than 20 minutes, we should have Andy McCarthy on the show with us. Of course, he's the contributing editor at National Review, a Fox News contributor. He's one of their chief legal contributors on Fox News. And so, Brad, what did he tell you when you booked him?
He said, hey, let's do 12:25. He goes, that is, unless Trump is indicted, in which case I will be on Fox duty and I'll probably have to cancel.
So if he doesn't come here, it's because he's on Fox, and we'll probably play for you what he says there on Fox News based on the news that could be coming out any minute now. We don't know that anything is going to happen. Maybe nothing happens. I would actually kind of like for a day for nothing to happen, because I have a lot of scandals that I need to talk to you about and to bring people to bring experts in here to discuss and get to the bottom of it. We had the testimony last week from those two IRS whistleblowers. I haven't heard anybody successfully even attempt to discredit the whistleblowers from last week. And the consistency with which the people on the left worked incredibly hard to bring every opportunity when they had the opportunity to speak back to Donald Trump made me pretty confident that, okay, what these guys are saying here is not good for the left, and they need to take your attention and put it elsewhere. Now, because Donald Trump has so many legal challenges facing him right now, there's a lot of opportunity to distract, but we got to get down to the facts of the matter with Donald Trump and with Joe Biden. The investigation into Hunter Biden that is taking place in our federal government is not about Hunter Biden. It's about Joe Biden. The pursuit of Hunter Biden isn't a way to try to criminalize the son of the president of the United States. That's not what that investigation is about. There is smoke all over the place that connects the business dealings of Hunter Biden to Joe Biden. The mountain of evidence that exists implicating the president of the United States, President Joe Biden, when he was then vice president of the United States, and then furthering into when he was a candidate to become the president of the United States, and who the heck knows, maybe as he has been the president of the United States, the mountain of evidence towers over anything that was even ever contrived by the left to try to get Donald Trump. Those are the facts. There is evidence that points people in the direction of going, this looks fishy. We need to investigate. Now, there was a lot of evidence, so to speak, that made people question who Donald Trump was, who his alliances were too, but it was made up. And for whatever reason, it doesn't seem like that matters, at least in our justice system today. So when we have Andy McCarthy on in about 15 minutes, we're going to ask him specifically first about the Donald Trump situation. Is an indictment imminent? Is it a scenario where Donald Trump on these particular charges that could possibly be coming, they're all involving the January 6th incident? How do the prior law, legal scenarios that have actually been litigated and prosecuted and charged and all of that already with, what is it, seditious conspiracy? Is that the phrase that I'm hearing right now?
That's the one I always hear.
Let me write that down. Seditious conspiracy. Because I'm going to ask Andy McCarthy about that when we talk to him. What is seditious conspiracy? Does it matter what the people who were involved in the January 6th incident, who have been charged and found guilty, does it matter what they did with those individual cases? Does that involve itself in what they're going to try to do to Donald Trump? I don't know. That's what people keep saying. I am a collector of information, and I try to put it in a row and put the puzzle pieces together and make it make sense. But when it's a bunch of people alleging things, we're going to talk to Andy McCarthy to get the legal expert side of that. I can't get over how blatant the evidence is around what Hunter Biden was doing on behalf of his father. There are so many different instances where you look at what Hunter Biden has been doing and you say, I mean, it's just where you say, well, obviously. There really isn't any other obvious explanation about what Hunter Biden was doing. In his own admission in his book, because of the Biden last name that he bears and the financial benefit that it brought Hunter Biden's entire family. Let's take a stroll down memory lane to 2019. And Brad, this was from a campaign. Was it in Iowa? I feel like it was in Iowa.
It was an Iowa event.
In 2019, a little bit more spry Joe Biden was in a room full of people. I think that this is the same incident where he challenged the guy to push-ups.
Yes, he does.
This is...
and he calls him fat and then stops.
This is where he says, look, fat?
Yeah.
Can we, if I'm that guy, I'm finding Joe Biden going, let's do those push-ups. I mean, let's go. Listen to this in 2019.
On the other hand, that's your son over there. He had a job and worked for a gas company that he had no experience with gas or nothing. In order to get access to the public for the president. So you're selling access to the president just like he was. So you got a damn liar, man.
So this questioner, if it's too hard for you to hear, he says that you were selling access to the president. That's the allegation that this person in an Iowa, community hall or wherever this was taking place, this guy standing up holding the microphone, and candidate then Joe Biden is standing there holding a microphone waiting to answer this town hall question. And the question is, what's going on here? Your son was working with you to sell access to the president.
That's not true. And no one has ever said that. No one has heard that. No one has said my son has done anything wrong, and I did not on any occasion And no one has ever said it. Now, I didn't say you were doing anything wrong. You said I set up my son to work in an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack.
Jack, get your words straight, Jack. What even is that? He keeps saying President Biden, then candidate Biden, but over the course of these years where there has been a question regarding the president's business dealings with his son in foreign countries that aren't exactly our friends either, Joe Biden keeps saying, no one has ever said that. No one is saying that. But how many times does he have to say that to people who are asking him to where he goes, well, actually, you know what? I keep saying these words. People are saying that. Who's the woman who did the town hall with Joe Biden? Is it not Meredith Vieira? She was, as Donald Trump would have said, a nasty woman.
Yeah, I can see her face.
Maybe the Today Show. She does the Thanksgiving Day parade. What's her name, people? Wasn't she the one who asked him the questions standing up as well? And she was like, what are the situations?
Was it Savannah Guthrie?
Savannah Guthrie, yeah. I'm going to look this up. Because she's in a position to ask these questions, and Biden's response to her is, who's saying that? This clip is from October 15th. Let's listen to this.
Do you think it was wrong for him to take that position? No. Knowing that it was really because that company wanted access to you?
Well, that's not true. You're saying things you do not know what you're talking about. No one said that. Who said that?
See, what is that? Why does he keep saying that? Yeah, if somebody made an accusation of you, you would, and it was completely wrong, wouldn't you want to know, like, where that was coming from? And if it was brand new information, you'd be like, where's this coming from? No one says that. But he keeps hearing these accusations. People keep repeating it to him. And I want to listen to it again, but how much is he denying the accusation? His first reaction to the Savannah Guthrie here, or his biggest reaction for sure, is, you don't know what you're talking about. And actually kind of insulting Savannah Guthrie, who I'm neither a fan of, or I couldn't remember her name. Listen to his reaction.
Do you think it was wrong for him to take that position? No. Knowing that it was really because that company wanted access to you?
Well, that's not true. You're saying things you do not know what you're talking about. No one said that. Who said that?
Don't you think that it's just one of those things where people think, well, that seems kind of sleazy. Why would he have that job if not for who his father was?
Because he's a very bright guy.
I guess the question I'm kind of asking is, was it right?
His appearance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he said he regretted.
Huh. She said it was sleazy. That's interesting. And she's asking a question. When Savannah Guthrie is asking Joe Biden this question, you know that everybody knows that these are the allegations. Savannah Guthrie is not going to, I remember they were standing up talking to each other in this interview. Savannah Guthrie is not going to break some sort of huge story with Joe Biden about how he might be involved in really nefarious global business deals where he lined his own pocket. If this story has reached Savannah Guthrie, as favorable of media that you're going to get in this instance, and she's asking this question, you know it's a question that matters to people. All people. I know lots of Democrats who are going to look at what's going on with the Biden family right now and go, well, obviously. Because they're smart people. They're Democrats and they're smart people. There, I said it. Republicans obviously have an extra motive to want to get to the bottom of this because they think that he's a terrible president because his policies are destroying America. That's how I feel. But just because you're a Democrat in America doesn't mean that you're going to be blind to the obvious nature of what the Biden family has involved itself in. And I mean, I can't even really come up with a practical scenario where you put all the pieces together with what Joe Biden was doing across the globe in an effort to influence and profit based on the connection he had to his vice president father. Is it possible that all of these things were going on under Barack Obama's nose and he had no idea about it? I think that's hard to believe as well. With every question that we eventually finally get an answer to, You open a whole room with about 600 more doors where you have to ask a single question on each one of those doors, and then you go into there and it opens up a whole nother room with 600 new doors. That clip I just played for you was October 2019. That's how long this issue has been important. Savannah Guthrie was asking Joe Biden before the 2020 election about questionable behavior and relationship between Hunter Biden and then candidate for president Joe Biden. You think if they would have covered the Hunter Biden laptop as if it were Don Jr.'s laptop, do you think for a second that it would have had a little bit more of an impact on the election? Yesterday, we talked a lot about Donald Trump and his propensity to talk about election interference and the stolen 2020 election. Man, there's a place where I would like to hear him talking about how he would have had something that he would like to see something change in the way these people cover news, in the way these people do interfere in elections, not because they're stuffing ballots in the middle of the night, not because that he thinks that, he should have had a different slate of electors or whatever it is that Donald Trump is pushing on any given day. What I would like to see him do is call out the media for the slanted narrative that they are always fully invested in. In fact, it's the only thing they're invested in. The activist media is only invested in the outcome that they have to rely on for them to be able to continue to operate the way they do. Throw a wrench in that system. To me, it's the number one way that we can most rapidly get this country back on track, because until we start looking truth straight in the eyes and straight in the mirror, we're not going to be able to fix the problems that we don't even know exist, because we're still working to try to get answers to singular questions that open up rooms full of doors that require us to get answers to new questions. Right now, the media, the activist media out there, is making sure that you can't even find the door. And if you do dare ask the question, they call you names and make you ashamed of yourself that you even thought the thought to ask the obvious question. The questions are obvious. Don't ever look at yourself and go, am I the crazy one here? Because you're not. Asking questions to seek out answers, to get truth, whether the truth is hurtful to you or helpful to you, is the only way that we can, as a country, improve. It's the only way. Andy McCarthy is going to be with us when we return. I'm looking forward to talking to him about what this potential indictment is for Donald Trump. It could come down as early as today. I think the grand jury meets on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so if we don't get one today, maybe Thursday might be a day. We'll be speaking with Hans von Spakovsky that day. Whatever happens, we've got you covered here on 97.1 FM Talk, and the Annie Frey Show will be on it live throughout the course of the afternoon. And we're grateful that you're here with us today. If you go to the Annie Frey YouTube channel, we got a little poll up for you. We need your participation in here and a brief explanation. The question is, who's the worst? Is it Joe Biden? Is it Kamala Harris? Is it Donald Trump? Or is it someone else? I put Donald Trump in there because I know that some of you folks on the left would come to the poll to vote for Donald Trump. And I want you to come be there and subscribe to the channel. We're about 170-something away from 6,000 subscribers. We'd love to have you there. When we come back, the Fox News contributing editor at National Review, Andy McCarthy, on the Annie Frey Show in a minute.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
AirComfortService.com is there to help you navigate getting a new heating and air conditioning system. Maybe it's just the air conditioner. I've had to replace both in my house. My house is about a little over 20 years old, and all of the things that got put into the house brand new are all just one after another. Tick, tick. That's basically the way my life has been for the last 4 or 5 years. So I call Air Comfort Service because I trust them. When they came to my house, both for my furnace and for my air conditioner, they assessed the situation and they gave me multiple options. Here's what it would cost to fix it and repair it. Here's what it would cost to replace it. And we elected to go to replace because it was going to make more financial sense than fixing something that might not have a long life afterwards. You can save up to $1,550 and carrier cool cash rebates on qualifying systems right now with Air Comfort Service. You can also qualify for 0% financing for up to 72 months. And you might be eligible for utility rebates and tax credits too. Call Air Comfort Service at 314-513-0091. That's 314-513-0091. Mention the Annie Frey Show when you do. Online at aircomfortservice.com.
Mark Cox here. Before you sell your home, you should know what it's worth in today's market. Call my friend Gloria Liu. She'll tell you. With 20 plus years of experience, Gloria Liu with Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty has been successfully selling homes in your area for more money than the average agent. Gloria has multiple selling options that give you the power of how and when your home is sold. A few of Gloria's options include bringing multiple cash offers from her substantial pool of investors, a zero commission program, and don't forget Gloria's guaranteed sale program. Why can Gloria guarantee the sale of your home? Because her database of buyers is huge, and she's so confident she can sell your home, she'll put her own money where her mouth is. Call your local real estate expert today. Call Gloria Liu at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888. Or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com. That's GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
The mission of Focus Marine Foundation is to develop and administer programs for wounded warriors, assisting them as they transition from military to civilian life. Mark Cox here. 97.1 FM Talk is on a mission to help serve Focus Marine Foundation through our Conservatives Care initiative. Focus Marine Foundation's helping heroes live productive and rewarding lives. Learn more about their mission and Conservatives Care at 971talk.com/care. Your company's privacy and security could be on the line every time you send an email. Mark Cox here for River City Internet Group and myemailservice.com. They're a locally owned and operated email provider. They have their own building, servers, and data center to ensure your security. If you have 100 employees, they might save you close to $10,000 a year over Google G Suite Basic, and they'll work with your IT company to migrate everything. Go online today to myemailservice.com.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Save up to 20% on a new HVAC system when you bundle it with attic insulation. 9 out of 10 homes are under insulated. For a free estimate on attic insulation, visit aircomfortservice.com.
97.1 FM Talk. You're here because ideas change the world. St. Louis is home for conservative talk. This is 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Welcome back to the Annie Frey Show. Grateful for you to be here on a hot and steamy afternoon here in St. Louis. If you're inside, just take 97.1 FM Talk with you in the Annie Frey Show. We'll be happy to keep you company while you're in the cool. We are watching the news, and we're waiting for a potential. It's possible that an indictment could come down today for President Trump in the January 6th case. It could come later this week. It might not come at all. We keep hearing a lot of pundits talking about what they assume is going to happen, which is why we always like to go to our legal expert friends to get to the bottom of it. Andy McCarthy joins us now, a Fox News contributor, former chief assistant U.S. attorney, and a contributing editor at National Review. Andy, thank you for being here with us today. We're grateful for it.
Annie, it's my pleasure. Grateful to be here.
So I'll just give you the opportunity to kind of set the table for us on what you anticipate or what we know so far regarding yet another potential indictment for Donald Trump.
Well, I have to say, Annie, I've been in the camp all along until the last month or so who thought that the special counsel, Jack Smith, would not bring or try to bring criminal charges based on the post-election 2020 events. I thought because he's a special counsel, Smith is, unlike normal prosecutors like I was when I was a line prosecutor in New York for all those years, if you don't make a case, you close the file and move on. Special counsels, by contrast, get to write a report about their investigation, which is how we end up finding out a lot of evidence in connection with people who have not actually been charged. So I thought that was the route that he would go. I thought it'd be too hard to make a criminal case here if you can't connect Trump to the violence, which I don't think they can, the violence of the Capitol riot. Then if what you're left with is these sort of extravagant theories of fraud and corruption and civil rights. And since I don't think it's a shame that we can't all agree on this, but a president, if the criminal justice process is going to intrude into electoral politics, I agree that we can't give immunity to somebody just because he or she is a presidential candidate, but it ought to be a really serious crime that has support of really compelling evidence. And I don't think they're going to have that with respect to the post-election 2020 stuff. But the reason we think an indictment is imminent is basically because President Trump told us so. And was it 2 weekends ago now that he put out a statement on his Truth Social platform saying he had gotten a target letter from the special counsel, which gave him 4 days to decide whether he wanted to try to testify in front of the grand jury or not. A target letter means that the Justice Department has pretty much decided to charge you. And Smith knew that Trump was not going to take him up on the invitation to testify before the grand jury. That's an invitation that gets extended in nonviolent crime cases where the person knows he or she is under investigation and there's no risk of flight. You'll invite the person to come in and testify. But any good lawyer is going to tell you, once they've decided that they're going to charge you, you might as well see what the charges say, see what the discovery says before you make any statements that can help them make their case. So the reason we think the charges are imminent is because you usually don't extend an invitation like that to a target unless you're very close to the end of the investigation.
We're speaking with Andy McCarthy, who is a former chief assistant U.S. attorney and a Fox News contributor. Is this really uncharted territory legally in this country? Is there any precedent to tell us how this might materialize in the next coming days?
Do you mean the kind of case that's going to be brought, or the fact that we have a presidential candidate?
Maybe both.
Yeah.
My intention to ask was, you were talking about the different types of charges that could come from this. And I've heard various things about, seditious conspiracy. And I've also heard about the fundraising that Trump did in the midst of all of the chaos being problematic. But then also you were talking about the quasi immunity. It's not immunity, but for a president, a sitting president or a candidate, there just seems so much here that I can't look back and say, well, the last time, this is how this went.
Yeah, no, it's true. Well, let's put violence aside first, right? Because that's the most important thing in the front of people's minds. Or let's take it on first. They don't have evidence that connects Trump to the violence of the Capitol riot. And we know that because the Justice Department has prosecuted about 1,000 or 1,100 people in connection with the Capitol riot, and they have consistently taken the position when people try to make Trump their defense that there's no evidence that Trump put them up to it, in the sense of like intending for violence to happen or giving direct orders to people to carry out violence. I happen to be one of the few prosecutors or former prosecutors in the United States who's ever prosecuted successfully a seditious conspiracy case. I had a terrorism case in the 1990s that was brought as a seditious conspiracy case. Unless you can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the person intended the use of force, and beyond that intended the use of force against the government to the point of making war against the United States, you don't have a seditious conspiracy case. So they've never had that against Trump, and they really can't connect him to the violence of the day. Because, he said a criminal trial is not like a choreographed January 6th committee hearing where, you get to slice and dice the evidence and nobody, there's no defense lawyer or person on the other side giving the complete picture. Of criminal trial, the jury gets to hear the whole thing. So you don't get to present a depiction of Trump's speech on the ellipse that leaves out the fact that he said we're all going to march peacefully down to the Capitol. But once he says peacefully there, your incitement case is gone and your seditious conspiracy case is gone, which is why they haven't brought one. So what they're left with are these theories of fraud and obstruction of Congress, and now we're hearing even civil rights, to try to pigeonhole Trump into some theory of prosecution that has him intentionally undermining in a corrupt way the election count, the count that Congress does in the joint session of the state certified electoral votes. And I just don't think they have a case, and I particularly don't think they have a case after the Supreme Court just in May again reminded prosecutors that it's up to Congress to codify crimes, and that prosecutors are not at liberty using their very creative minds to stretch terms like fraud and corruption and what have you into crimes or into conduct that Congress hasn't criminalized in a penal law. So, you know, for example, fraud in the United States, you often hear, are they going to bring a case that says Trump defrauded the United States in connection with the electoral count? Well, the Supreme Court reminded us in May, fraud in the United States means to bilk somebody out of money or tangible property. No matter what you think Trump did in connection with January 6th, he didn't defraud anyone in that sense. The presidency is not tangible property. So they don't really have a fraud case. I don't think they have a corruption case. I think they'd have a whale of a time trying to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Trump believed that he lost the election and that he was engaged in a deception in that way. I'm not saying he maybe he was, but it's not enough for a prosecutor to believe that. You have to be able to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. I don't see them doing that.
Andy McCarthy is joining us right now to talk about a potential January 6th case against Donald Trump indictment that could be coming. What do you see as the goal or the desired outcome of this prosecution? Is it prison time? Is it just to eliminate him, even if it were possible to eliminate him as a candidate for president? What are they really pursuing here in your mind?
I think this is very politicized, the most politicized use of the Justice Department I've ever seen. So I don't think it's about Trump. I think, like I always say with the Democrats, it's never about what it's about, right? It's never about the thing that's in the front of your nose. It's you know, what their machinations are. So I don't really think this is about Trump. It's about Biden and keeping the White House. So I think what they believe, and there's reason to believe this is true if you look at polling and consider, you know, what Trump's ceiling was in the last two elections when he had a lot more advantages than he has now, where he topped out at like 46%. What they believe is that the base will get whipped up by indictments, which makes it very hard for the other Republican candidates to get traction. So it will help Trump win the nomination. And then they believe that the electorate, the general electorate that votes in November, will never elect Trump because he starts out with at least 54, 55% against him. And then you work down from the idea if they can get these indictments pushed to trial next year before the election, the trial is when all the icky stuff comes out, you know, the witness testimony and the hearings and all that stuff. So I think what their calculation is the indictments win the nomination for Trump, and then the trials make sure the Democrats crush him in the general election, and that's their theory. I don't think it's about Trump. You know, Trump gets everybody whipped up, so if they can say Trump, 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 that's going to take all the air out of the room. But what they want is the White House, the White House, the White House, and this is the way they're planning to get it.
Yeah, power and money. Before we let you go, if I could, we're speaking with Andy McCarthy, who's a Fox News contributor, a fellow at National Review Institute, and a former chief assistant U.S. attorney. I want to shift to the man who is in the White House right now, Joe Biden. We know that the Devon Archer testimony is potentially imminent as well, potentially next week. When you are looking at everything, years and years of investigations, of evidence that exists right now surrounding Hunter Biden, the pursuit on their federal government and the Justice Department's connection is about Joe Biden, at least one would think, because he's the one who's in a position of power to represent the American people. How close is what we know about Hunter Biden to incriminating Joe Biden right now?
Well, I think it's always been. You know, the thing that's infuriating about this is that it's a straight news story. You know, it shouldn't be politically. People should not, you know, put their hands over their ears and go, no, I don't want to hear it. If it's, you know, if it's somebody who's not on your side, we should all want to know what are the facts, and then we'll figure out what to think about it, right? So in 2020, before the election, We had a lot of scut work that was done by Senators Grassley and Johnson in the Senate that was all based on financial records. This is before we ever had the Hunter Biden laptop that showed, bazillions of dollars coming into the Biden family coffers from foreign sources. And the thing that's always been curious about that is it's not clear what value went back, right? When you do a big financial transaction, no matter how big the number is, you see an asset changing hands in exchange for the exorbitant amount of money, right? The only thing you see here is access to Joe Biden and his political influence. Other than that, these transactions don't make any sense. Then we got the Hunter laptop, and we got the testimony of this guy, Tony Bobulinski, who said, yes, I was involved in this transaction that they were doing with the Chinese Communist Party, and Joe Biden was in the middle of it. I had 2 meetings with him. So we knew all that before the 2020 election, and they basically gaslighted us about this nonsense that it was all Russian disinformation. And what you're seeing now as the floodgates are opening is, I think, the weight of the evidence is now catching up with what we already knew 3 years ago. And the thing is, in a normal story, what would happen is, as revelations come up, the media would say, well, now wait a minute, let's not get out ahead of our skis. Isn't that what they like to say? Let's slow down. Here, they're not going to be able to do that, because what they've done is, this is such a damning story that they have spent 3 years just not covering it. And the thing that's going to suddenly make them cover it is there's going to be a crescendo of scandal. And at that point, they're not going to be able to slow walk it anymore, because it's already going to be like Mount Everest. And I think that's where we're headed now. We won't actually see Devon Archer testify next week. My understanding is it's supposed to be Monday. It's been put off a few times now, but it's supposed to be Monday, and it will be behind closed doors. But I imagine we'll find out pretty quick what he had to say for himself.
Last quick question for you is, should Joe Biden, if you were in Joe Biden's shoes right now, would you be fearing political trouble or criminal trouble, or both?
I'd probably be fearing the next staircase if I was in Biden's shoes. But I don't think he should be afraid of criminal trouble, because he runs the Justice Department, right?
Yes, he does.
But he does need to worry about political trouble, because, look, all the stuff, as we just discussed, all the stuff that they've done with Trump is on the theory that Biden is such a weak candidate that Trump is the only one they think they can beat because of all this scandal and indictments and all this stuff. That suggests to me that Joe Biden can't afford too many things to go wrong. And what's happening here, politically speaking, is about to go very wrong.
Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for the time today. We'll be watching if an indictment comes in. We always love seeing what you say on Fox News, and we're grateful you shared some of your time with us here on the Annie Frey Show. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks so much, Annie.
You're welcome. He's a contributing editor at National Review, a fellow at National Review Institute, Fox News contributor, former chief assistant U.S. attorney, and a friend of the Annie Frey Show. Always great to have him on. If you would like to tweet at him about anything that he said or thank him for coming on the Annie Frey Show, you can tweet him at Andrew C. McCarthy. Really is wonderful that he joined us today. Let's take a quick break. Wiggins America in studio. When we come back, we're going to talk about Ryan Wiggins' favorite thing, which is princesses, in just a minute. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
Stewart's American Mortgage is where I went twice to do a refinance on the mortgage on my home. Both times I was able to lower my rate. Why would I do that twice? Well, you don't pay any fees, any costs. Those fees, those closing costs, they don't exist on a bagel loan with Stewie. 314-324-4440, 314-324-4440. You can call him or you can text him. I just saw a news article that said the Fed is set to raise interest rates to 22-year high after a June pause. I don't know what that means, and I'm just going to use this opportunity to tell you that when I see a news story like this, my go-to for information on what this means for our economy is Stewie. Not as somebody who I need to get a mortgage for right now, but if I did, I would go to him. But because he 100% understands the way all of these things come together, and he has put this all together to make a company where he works directly with you at Stewart's American Mortgage through the bagel loan or however you choose to work with him. to give you what's best for you. That makes him one of the top lenders in literally the entire country, which is why he was ringing the New York Stock Exchange bell last week. He's nationally recognized, and he's ours right here in St. Louis. He's my guy when it comes to mortgages and refinances. I personally recommend him to people in my family. I say, you have to call Stewie. Talk to Stewie. And I'm telling that to you as well. 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. Call my guy Stewie for a bagel loan. You can Google the bagel loan to learn more. NMLS number 226715.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
We are Under Law, your St. Louis legal powerhouse. Auto accidents, work injuries, pharmaceutical litigations, we do it all.
Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
You wouldn't trust a butcher to babysit your pet pig. You wouldn't trust a lumberjack to repair your antiques. Or a professional wrestler to be your massage therapist. So why would you trust anyone but AMCO to fix your car? For over 50 years, we've been the trusted experts in transmission repair.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
AAMCO.
We just heard from Andy McCarthy, and Wiggins America is coming up next. Jim Carafano at 105 talking about the border and the battle between the federal government and Texas. Seems like it's always ongoing. 12:46 right now. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
You could be watching this right now. Tune into the Annie Frey Show live stream. YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, Twitter. You know what? Just type in Annie Frey Show live stream. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Wiggins!
Oh! Wiggins!
Let's talk about Snow White.
Oh, and the roller coaster?
No, not the Snow White roller coaster.
Oh,
That's fun.
That one is a lot of fun. That's a smooth roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
All of their roller coasters at that park are smooth.
Except
Anyone
for the
want
ones.
to go to Disney World?
Oh, ooh, me.
Yes,
Except
I do.
for the ones that shake out kidney stones.
You know, even
It's
that one's
not smooth.
It's not terrible
Big
comparatively.
Thunder Mountain
Yeah.
Railroad. Welcome to the wildest ride in the wilderness. You know.
If you're over 40, you're going to get a kidney stone in about 4 days.
That's what they say after you've taken off and it's in the background.
Yeah.
There's
I
nothing-
didn't hear that part. If
There's
I
nothing-
had, I would have been
yeah.
like, no, let me off. I'm scared. Just like I did when I was 3 on Dumbo.
In the beginning of May, the four of us went to Disney World for 3 fun-packed days.
It was amazing.
And Ryan came home with a kidney stone.
I didn't know what it was. I thought I was dying.
I just want to give a little context to the people who have no idea what we're talking about.
You're going, oh,
There's a roller
a lot of
coaster
info there.
that at Disney World that they tell you if you have a kidney stone to ride the roller coaster, it will help you pass it. It just helped dislodge or however that works.
I
Ryan.
did not know that was a thing, nor that I had kidney stones until riding Big Thunder Mountain.
Now you do.
Now I do. Let's talk about Disney in some different capacities. The parks are a lot of fun. The movies are a little weird. Disney is remaking Snow
The
White.
worst. I should have put them in there. That's the
They're the
YouTube live
worst.
chat poll today. Who's the worst? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, or someone else?
Someone else can be Disney. Walt Disney.
No, it's Bob whatever.
Iger. Chapek. Disney's remaking Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs because that's what they do now. They take every movie they've ever made that was animated and make it into a live-action version. And this film doesn't come out until March of next year, and it's already generating controversy. Although in this case, sometimes it feels like they're manufacturing controversy to get some publicity.
Yeah,
In
but
this
they're
case,
also manufacturing really crappy movies.
They are.
Oh, man.
It's really crappy.
They're rough.
And depending on the movie, some of them are losing a lot of money. Little Mermaid did okay, but not great. Like domestically, I think it lost money.
What are they trying to do to this to mess it up?
Yeah, so with Snow White, there's
Snow who?
three. Snow White.
Snow White?
Yes.
Snow White.
White, yes. Like Walter.
Like the puppet says, or the poem
Walter
says,
White.
skin white as snow, right?
I think
what the
you're on the
mirror
right
says.
track here.
Okay.
So the first reason.
Is he in this movie?
No. No, I
Wait a
dropped that
second.
just for so you Google
Now
it.
I might actually go watch it just to see what
Would that
happens.
be something?
Yeah.
It's a drug den film.
Wait, what were the dwarves doing in the mines?
right. So let's talk about.
Why
We'll
is
get to the
Hunter Biden
dwarves in a
in this
second,
movie?
but
They're mining crystal.
the first reason that it's garnering controversy is that many took issue with West Side Story star Rachel Ziegler, a Latina actress, being cast as the iconic Snow White. This one, to me, is the only one that could be a manufactured controversy to get people talking about it.
For sure.
Because it's Snow White. It's a white woman who's played Snow White, of course. And then they're going to go, but not anymore.
You know what makes me irritated? Just one of the things. There are a lot of things.
Go ahead.
The fact that when my oldest daughter was maybe, when did Moana come out? Maybe 15, 16?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yeah, that seems right.
Sounds right.
She would have been 4 or 5. Moana was the big thing. She was Moana for Halloween. And there was a big controversy, specifically surrounding Moana, leading up to that, about whether it was appropriate for people who were not a person of color like Moana is to dress up as Moana for Halloween.
Yes. It's
So-
cultural appropriation.
So my 4 or 5, no, she says she's not a princess. She tells Mommy that in the movie. It's true. But she can be. It's a controversy for my 4 or 5-year-old white daughter to dress up as Moana for Halloween, but Snow freaking White isn't white.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, it's okay. It's not okay unless it's a white person for somebody else to play. And in this case, a Latina actress. Which, when I hear it, it's like a 10-year-old doing something rebellious. Where you go, oh wow, that was really rebellious. Like they do a trick on their BMX bike and they look at you and go, take that, old man.
What if they only ever have one trick?
Yeah, well, that's the one trick. And our friends are high-fiving them like, man, you showed that guy. And you're standing there going,
I don't think you did.
I'm not sure you did, but I'm not really sure what you were trying to show me either. So, yeah, good for you. You really showed the man. Number 2, so that's the first one. Number 2 is that photos, speaking of appropriation, photos from the Snow White set revealed that the 7 characters accompanying Snow White, as in, the title of the movie, Snow White and the 7 Dwarves, weren't all dwarves. They were actors of different heights, races, and genders, of course, because they had to be inclusive of non-dwarf individuals.
There is a real anger. I'm not making the words that I'm about to say in this sentence are not made up. There is a real anger and dissent in dwarf culture that they got hosed out of the one job that they probably, that one was like, I would always like to have played a dwarf in Snow White. And now you've got tall people playing it.
Yes, that's a fact. And so it's okay to appropriate certain culture, but then it's not, wait a minute, we're going to appropriate this one, but not really. Then they were going to change it to magical creatures, but the title of the movie was 7 Dwarves.
Also, if you're an actual dwarf, and dwarfs are actually real, and they're like, we're not going to do that, we're going to call them magical creatures, I would then enter offense.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what? You think that the counterpart to me being a dwarf, which is what I actually am, is to be a magical creature? Disney, you're doing this wrong. You've inverted yourself. You are ridiculous, and I hate it, and it's not going to get any better until people continue to stop going to these movies and bring the stock price down so that even I can afford it.
It's funny because you have Peter Dinklage on one side going, yeah, it's kind of a backward story. You don't want to portray dwarves as just magical dwarves. And then you have Wee Man from Jackass saying, you took away our dwarf roles, man.
But this was our opportunity.
Come on, we wanted some roles.
And Peter Dinklage, you don't speak for dwarves.
Yeah, that dude's super successful. He's one of the most successful actors in the world right now.
What was his name in Game of Thrones?
Oh, I don't know. I've never seen the show.
Gosh,
the one time I
good.
watched the show, I'm like, dang, that's a ton of nudity. I don't think I can watch this with my wife.
Wait, would you watch it without her?
No.
What?
Let's get to the third piece
the
of
least
controversy.
convincing thing you've ever said on the
Let's
air.
get to the third piece of controversy regarding Snow White. It's this.
I wouldn't watch that with my
interchange.
Wife. Prepositional phrases.
I
Not
wouldn't
needed.
watch it without her either, honey. Just so you know. Here's this interview that's resurfacing
Ryan,
with the actress. Don't worry about that.
No. She maybe has seen the whole series.
No. Trust me, I'd know because I'd hear all about it, the plot the next day. Rachel Ziegler, who's playing Snow White, and Gal Gadot, who's playing the disgustingly evil princess or queen or whatever she is. Here's an interview with them. Oh, sorry, that's the song. Here's the interview.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
Gal Gadot is playing
it's
Cleopatra.
It's a really incredible story for I think young people everywhere to see themselves in.
We can't do period pieces anymore. The fact that Snow White actually existed in a specific moment in time doesn't matter.
No. I just want to point out though that they're revolutionizing the message by making it about female empowerment. Man, they're really thinking outside the box here. Nobody's doing this. The Little Mermaid just did it. Okay, sure. Barbie's doing it right now. All the other live-action Disney movies have done the exact same thing. But, man, we're going to break the mold here. And we're going to make it that the princess isn't just about falling in love. In fact, we don't care about love at all in this one. We're just about female empowerment because kids need to see that.
I'm going to be the one who says it in the room. Hannah, you can agree or disagree. You're at the other end of this age spectrum. But I will tell you as somebody who is 40, for women who have spent their whole lives not making the story about being rescued by a prince, and then they're in their 40s and there is no prince, not a good message for young women. Not a good message for young women. The idea that a prince exists out there for you in the old-fashioned way of things, the idea that exists as something for you in your future isn't a bad thing. And if you find yourself internally wanting that, maybe go for it and don't listen to Gal Gadot.
It's just a boring theme. Do something different.
Or Walter White. We'll be right back.
Hey, Bernie Federico here. Over the years, you've heard me talk about Lakeside Renovation and Design. My friends Matt and Dan have been in the business for over 25 years and have done everything on my home, from James Hardy siding, Infinity from Marvin Windows, and even a couple of room additions. These guys are great, and you can trust them with your home. Check out their website to see for yourself all the beautiful work they've done. You can find them online at lakesidrenovationanddesign.com. Be sure to ask about their unbelievable financing options. Lakeside Renovation and Design.
Do you have an invention idea but don't know what to do next? Call InventHelp today. We have representatives nationwide who will explain the InventHelp process step by step. Over 10,000 patents have been secured through InventHelp's patent referral services. The InventHelp databank includes thousands of companies who have agreed to review new ideas. We've been helping inventors since 1984. Let's help you next. Get started today.
Call 1-800-217-4380. That's 1-800-217-4380. Again, 1-800-217-4380.
If you're hiring, it can feel like trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. Like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day.
Now try ZipRecruiter free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/FREE.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars and lose the weight guaranteed. Early bird specials at $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Also stop smoking with Mark Patrick. No matter how many times you try to quit, this hypnosis is designed to destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Seminars Saturday, August 15th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites St. Louis Airport in St. Louis. And Sunday, August 6th at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis, Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar, 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar, 2 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
House, Elisa Brady, Fox News. A federal judge just blocking an immigration rule that allows asylum to be denied for migrants who don't first apply online or seek protection in another country before arriving at the U.S.-Mexico border, considered a key enforcement tool after a pandemic-era limit on asylum seekers expired. However, the judge is staying today's ruling, allowing more time for appeal. UPS and the Teamsters Union reach a tentative deal to keep America's packages moving.
Historic and lucrative are words being used to describe the deal. Details show the agreement being for 5 years and $30 billion, but still must be approved by the rank and file. Teamsters President Sean O'Brien told Fox's Neil Cavuto the deal ends the two-tier wage system, a major sticking point.
We have leveraged our position of strength, and the company has agreed to make everybody regular package car drivers and pay everybody and treat everybody accordingly.
Working conditions, health care, and more paid holidays are also part of the deal. Workers will get nearly 3 weeks in August to vote on the agreement.
Fox's Gernal Scott. A U.S. Marine veteran freed in a prisoner swap with Russia has been injured while fighting in Ukraine. The State Department just confirming this, adding that Trevor Reed was not acting on behalf of the U.S. government. Reed was detained in Russia for nearly 3 years before his release last year. The U.S. repeatedly warning Americans not to travel to Ukraine or take part in the fighting between Ukraine and Russia. The U.S. and Australia begin their largest ever joint military exercises.
More than 30,000 military personnel from 13 nations, including strategically important Pacific islands, are taking part. 10 years ago, this was simply an exercise between the U.S. and Australia. Now, fear of China has led Japan and Germany to join for the first time ever. India is observing along with 3 others.
Fox's Jennifer Griffin at the Pentagon. America is listening to Fox News.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just 1 dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Well, it feels like late July should feel partly sunny, hot, moderate humidity. Another batch of some scattered thunderstorms possible late afternoon. 95 for the high. Tonight, a couple of thunderstorms around early evening, then again late night. Partly cloudy, 75. Wednesday, partly sunny, breezy. Some spot thunderstorms possible. It's hot, 97 on Wednesday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
You need a home or commercial security system you can rely on?
Hi, I'm Dave with Reliant Security, and we're based right here in St. Louis. When you need us, I'll take your call. I've worked for the big box security guys, and I've wanted to do things differently, the right way, putting my customers first. We'll beat their pricing with fixed rates and no long-term contracts, from CCTV to personal emergency response systems to energy management and more. Let us secure your home or business. See all the ways you can rely on Reliant. Visit us at secure-reliant.com.
Shows that make a difference. Mark Cox, Brian Kilmeade, Annie Frey, Mark Reardon and Dana Lesh, Heidi Harris, Wiggins America. Where St. Louis comes to talk. 97.1 FM Talk.
Mark Reardon sees clearly thanks to Doctors Birdie and Maholtred Ophthalmology Associates. You can too. Go to yourEyeDoc.com today. That's yourEyeDoc.com or call 314-966-5000. Ophthalmology Associates.
I want to talk to you about hydrating your heroes. Anytime you have an opportunity to help those people who are helping your community. Let's talk about the first responders, the firefighters, the policemen. A lot of you are them. A lot of you know or are related to them. And you know that when it's crazy hot out there, like it generally is in St. Louis, that they need to stay hydrated. It's something that they don't get to do, which is stay in an air-conditioned room all day long. Ruler Foods is going to do something about that. Waters are available for purchase at Ruler Foods, including Gatorades, 4 for $5 when you buy 4. Kroger 24 packs of water, $2.99. A whole bunch of different opportunities for you to save on these hydration methods for yourself. But when you go to Ruler Foods near you, you're going to be able to save and leave a few behind, and they're going to take them to those local heroes, those heroes that are keeping us safe and keeping us protected, even in the midst of this crazy heat. Find the Ruler Foods closest to you by going online, putting in your zip code, and checking it out at rulerfoods.com.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
If they were serious about border security and enforcing the border along, they would be working with Governor Abbott in the state of Texas to figure out how to make this solution work. Instead, it appears as though their first reaction is, let me go to court and let me sue you to stop this. And so you have to ask the question, why? Why would they want to stop this? It's not because they're violating some obscure law by putting maritime buoys in the river. It's because their approach is not for America. It's not an America first approach. They don't care about American communities along that border. It seems like their first order of business is to craft policy that benefit illegal aliens at the end of the day. And it's just, it's kind of like the wrong approach.
Chad Wolf speaking there. The Biden administration is suing the state of Texas for these floating buoys that are serving as barriers to keep people who want to come into the United States without coming through the ports of entry, to keep them out. And Chad Wolf's allegation is that the Biden administration is more interested in protecting and providing for these people who are coming here than they are for the people who are citizens here. I don't know where Chad Wolf gets that idea
from. And while
from.
we will fight to support immigrants and to protect DACA recipients, there is no substitute for action by Congress. Congress must create a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, individuals with temporary protected status, and for farm workers.
That's what the vice president is saying right now. The issue that is at hand right now on the southern border is one of an influx of people where they are coming into our country. They are skirting the proper ways of getting here, but then even the proper ways that are set up, they are coming into our country and they're in a position to stay, seek asylum, get paired with a sponsor. Children come without adults with them. They get put into this country, and then what happens? We don't even know. We don't even know. Years go by before they are even supposed to show up back in court. Years pass before they are able to report in court, and then a vast majority of them don't. Is this humane for our country to be setting up a system for humans to come into our country in this manner? Is America responsible for essentially setting up the invitation for them to stay? There are ways that you can entice people. There are ways that you can put up barriers that say, no, you're not going to come across here. Do we have a system set up that allows people to come into this country, to come into this country and apply for citizenship, to come into this country and work, to come into this country and learn and to study? We do. Maybe the system isn't perfect, but we do have that system. Listen to Congressman Gonzalez of Texas.
I support the buoys because they are a deterrent in preventing people from entering the country illegally. But we have to be compassionate in how we handle anyone. I don't care who they are. I don't care regardless of their legal status. I would much rather see not one person have to step 1 foot in that water because it is dangerous. You're going to drown. You're going to get injured. But the reality is many people are leaving very desperate situations in Venezuela and Nicaragua and all throughout the country, all throughout the world. But I don't want to see them get in the river at all. And I hope when they see these buoys, they turn around.
Jim Carafano,
These are dangerous times.
Vice President for Foreign and Security Policy at Heritage.
Well, Jim Carafano, the topic that we continue to discuss each and every week is still that, ironically, after our conversation last week, they haven't fixed the southern border, and the Biden administration has said, you know what, those buoys that you've put out in the water, you got to get rid of those. I want to get your thoughts, Jim Carafano, on that topic specifically first.
Yeah, so I am not in the camp that says these are desperate people fleeing prosecution to come to the United States. This is nonsense. First of all, there's an international refugee status thing. In the first country, for the first safe harbor, right, the first country you can get to where you're not being pursued by murderous people, you can claim refugee status and asylum, and that country is required under its international obligations to if you have a legitimate claim to accept your refugee status. This notion that somehow securing our border is somehow putting people that's nonsense. It's utter, complete nonsense and a lie. But the reality is the more open our border appears, the more people are subject to death, human trafficking, getting killed, getting abused, getting put in human slavery, all the ill things. But 99% of these people, more than 99% of the people, are voluntarily making this trek for one reason, because they think Joe Biden's going to let them walk in the United States, right? So this is unconscionable. You know, as people all around the world are seeing Sound of Freedom, this film about human trafficking, and say, "Oh my God, isn't that horrible and terrible?" We have the U.S. government, which has a policy which is enabling and empowering human trafficking. It's empowering the cartels. It's basically paying the last mile in human trafficking. You're a cartel guy. You get the person to the border. The U.S. government will make sure that person safely gets across the border. They will give them a pass in the United States. They will take your tax dollars, and they will pay an NGO to take you anywhere you want to go into the country. And then when you get there, the cartel will pick them up, and they will sell them human trafficking and whatever. So we have reached the ultimate height of hypocrisy when people that says that somehow securing the border is being inhumane.
Yeah, and it's, I guess, a little ironic that the president's administration now identifies that they do know that the border has concerns, because their action that they're going to take here is to tell Texas, no, knock that off. You need to take that away. That's inhumane. What do you think Texas needs to do next in this process?
Well, I think they should fight it all the way to the Supreme Court. And you know, at the end of the day, look, I'm a believer in the Constitution. At the end of the day, the Supreme Court will make a decision, and then I will be the first person to raise my right hand and said, you know, whether I agree or disagree, you know, we should follow the law of the land. But this administration has gone against the intent and purpose of the war. They are unsecuring this country. They are letting people in illegally, and then they are playing a sleight of hand to say, oh, well, the illegal entry is way down because we're just letting them in the country. Therefore, they're not illegally entering. This is nonsense. And for Texas, and this is why they hate Texas. This is why they hate Florida. This is why I hate anybody that does anything in the border, because you put a face to the lie. You demonstrate the hypocrisy of the policy. And the ministry, they hate that. They want everybody to just believe remember the John Carpenter movie, They Live, where there are all these subliminal messages from the aliens telling you what to do, and then you put on the glasses and you see the messages in the aliens. They don't like the glasses, right? They don't want you to see the truth, and they don't want you to deal with the truth. They just want you to accept the lie. And look, you know me, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a partisan voice. I'm just an independent observer that when your government lies to you and then expects you to accept that as a truth, that's just the reality of what you were seeing.
Jim Carafano with us. He's the Vice President for Foreign and Security Policy at Heritage Foundation. We talked last week about your review of Sound of Freedom, and then you brought it up again here. I'm seeing a lot of people who are critics of the Sound of Freedom suggesting that somehow or another it's all wrapped up in a right-wing conspiracy theory. You just said it. You're not into politics. You're into policy. What do those Americans need to understand about what is happening to children, especially those children who come across the border in our country today?
Well, human trafficking is a real global problem. Truth. There are more human slaves in the world today than there were at the height of the Atlantic slave trade. Truth. More human slaves in the world today than there were under slavery of the Roman Empire. It's all true. There's more slavery in the world today than there's ever been. These are true statements. And what is also true is the U.S. government is the world's largest enabler of human trafficking. It's actually, and it's paid for with your tax dollars. Now, you may not like the people that made the film. You may not like their politics. You may not like the film because conservatives like the film. But and you can't say, well, the film's not 100% factually accurate, because no film is 100% factual. You're making a movie, so you condense and move things around and amplify things for the sake of making a watchable film. But the reality of the issue that the film is portrayed is just true. And if you don't like the film because you don't like the film, say that, but you can't say there's anything wrong with the film, because there's not.
Jim, can I ask you a deeper question on what you just said there? Because it's a very impactful thing. Listening to you say about the number of slaves that exist in this world right now, that's a pretty impactful statement. I've never really heard it articulated that way. Can you tell me, I think that when Americans think of slavery, they think of people that are slaving away in fields, and there's a version of that American history has taught us that we've experienced personally here. When you're talking about this number of slaves, what are they doing as slaves?
So, for example, there's probably somewhere between 1 million and 2 million Uyghurs. That's not every political prisoner in China. That is just Uyghurs who are incarcerated, have no freedom, and are forced to do things and have no rights whatsoever. That's slavery. There's a population in North Korea that is one of the highest incarcerated populations in the world. They're political prisoners. They have no rights. They have to work for nothing. That's slavery. We have cartels that not only move millions of people, but they siphon a significant number of those people off into sex trafficking, into human trafficking, that are forced to work in factories and other places. And that is slavery. So just because it's not Charlton Heston, cuffed and rowing as a galley slave in Rome, or it's not an African American hoeing cotton on a plantation, this is human slavery. You do not have the freedom to do what you want. You are given no human liberties, and your work is expropriated from you, and your rights are taken from you, and somebody is treating you like an animal. That is slavery.
How is it that, the Sound of Freedom has rung a bell that has resonated in such a magnificent way to get a message out? And of course, if you've got critics who are generally political commentators trying to diminish some sort of, vision of a conservative victory on a particular issue, as if that could possibly be the outcome of Sound of Freedom, how can that be taking place even here in our country, as you articulated, with our own tax dollars? How big of an industry is it?
Well,
and how does it continue to happen where people can say, yeah, it's just a conspiracy theory?
Because we just, we've taken the postmodern version of truth and taken it to its ultimate hypocrisy, which is my politics are my truth. And we've desensitized people over that by when you demonize other people and say, well, their politics are different, they must be wrong everything, then everything you say is right and truthful. So if you think there are, fundamental debates in the United States like what's a man and what's a woman, I mean, these are issues which are up for debate, not because the facts of sexuality or genetics or evolution have changed, but because people's politics have changed. And this is the consequence of that. Now, I'm not saying that anybody has a monopoly on truth. America was created under the belief that nobody should have a monopoly on power and truth, but that we create an ecosystem which enables the free expression to get at the truth. And then we have a constitution which provides checks and balances so your freedoms don't impinge and oversell on my freedom. And so, we've broken that barrier. It's like the character in the movie that talks directly to the audience. They push through the barrier and they've changed the rules. We've decided that you're not entitled to your truth. That if your truth is politically inconsistent with mine, your truth has to be denied. We set up a system of checks and balances under the U.S. which specifically prohibited that. If you watch the Oppenheimer film, which I really recommend, I think it's an excellent movie. On the one hand, Oppenheimer, it's very clear that Oppenheimer, nobody's ever produced a scintilla of evidence that Oppenheimer was an actual communist spy or that he committed treason in any way, shape, or form ever. So he never legally did anything wrong. Now, having said that, he was persecuted because he had views which people didn't like. And so they basically labeled him a communist and yanked his security clearance. Now, on the other hand, quite honestly, while Oppenheimer was a great scientist, most of his political views were pretty stupid. He really sucked at geopolitics. But here's the difference is, should he have been legally attacked for being stupid, right? Or should his right to say things which are wrong have been protected? I think that's the point. And it's not, people shouldn't go away from them and say, oh my God, Oppenheimer was persecuted for being a truth teller. Well, he wasn't really. He was actually wrong. But that's not the point is. We should have protected his right to free speech. What he was saying was not national security. He was legitimate free speech, and it should not have been suppressed by illegal means. And what we've done is taking that line away, which is if it's politically acceptable speech, it's fine. If it's not, it should be prosecuted and persecuted. And what we saw, and most vividly during in COVID was much of what was told to us was absolute truth, and medical science was actually not true. And in retrospect, I think we all would have agreed we would have much been better off by listening to the debate of what to do and making our own choices. And indeed, in states that did that, they actually produced much better outcomes. This is actually identical what happened in World War I. Because of the demand of wartime to deploy overseas, the administration of Woodrow Wilson conducted massive oppression of free rights and free speech, particularly when it came to dealing with the Spanish flu. And they mandated policies that were considered science, that were considered the public consensus, which were actually spread the disease. And the spreading of the disease only was stopped when cities like Philadelphia, for example, literally ignored the federal guidance and the federal mandates and looked at the science and made decisions for themselves.
It's good to hear your review of that film, and I know it's a lot of controversy out there in the movie theaters, but people are going to see films. And I guess, have you seen Barbie before I let you go? Did you see the movie?
No, but I'm the first to admit I was wrong. I said Barbie would crash and burn, and there would be no audience for that film. And so obviously I don't understand American film goers. But what I will say about what I will say about films like Barbie and Oppenheimer is, in many ways, this is so retro. The days in which there was something that we all participated in and discussed about around the water cooler, we have seen such a degradation of that because everybody goes to their own corner and ignore. But when we have big cultural events that we can all talk about, I think that's awesome. I'll give you another example. Thank God they banned Jason Aldean's song, because as soon as they did that, 16 million people went and watched the song.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying have whatever you want about the song, the politics, or whatever, but the fact that we've created a mass experience that we all got to experience and now we get to debate, that is the old America that I grew up in and I loved.
Oh, man. Well, that's a really, really great point. We appreciate you, Jim. We love having you on. We look forward to talking to you again next week.
All right. Thanks, my friend.
Yep, you as well. Jim Carafano, Vice President for Foreign and Security Policy at Heritage Foundation, and now weekly movie reviewer, because it's 2 weeks in a row, so that makes it a weekly. Don't ever make your event be the first annual. It has to be second annual. First annual is a hope and a dream. Second annual is a real thing. That's one of those things. I used to be a graphic designer and the digital person for the station, and I had to study so hard all of these things that people do in digital and graphic design to learn it, because I didn't go to school specifically for it, not to mention the fact that when I went to school, it didn't really exist. It's first annual. You could do first annual anything. This could be your first annual turkey sandwich on a Tuesday. And, who's going to check on you next Tuesday or next year?
My first annual turkey sandwich.
Yes, exactly. That sounds like something Kevin Killeen would say. We should get him back in here. All right, let's take a quick break. Good morning, Frey Show, right around the corner. Let's talk about this YouTube live chat poll when we come back. Who's the worst? Imagine a 13-year-old boy saying that to you when you ask him to do something. Oh, it's the worst. Fill in the blank here. Is it Joe Biden? Is it Kamala Harris? Is it Donald Trump? Or is it someone else? Love taking your suggestions. Maybe Hannah can come in here along with Ryan Wiggins, and we can determine if there's anyone in the lead in the someone else suggestions. Go to the Annie Frey YouTube live chat and leave your comment there and vote in the poll, which is in the live chat portion. We'll give you a mid-show update in a minute. Don't go away.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Are you ready for it?
Michael's Flooring Outlet. IGotFloored.com is the website. When you shop IGotFloored.com, they have a live chat section right there, so that if you have a question about flooring before you want to, get in, strap in, go to one of their 3 locations and start asking questions because you're that far down the process. Shopping for flooring, at least in my family, is more than you want to replace the floors? I think it's probably for most people. You determine a budget, you determine a look or an aesthetic that you're trying to achieve, and then you need to go to people who you can trust. People who are going to listen to what you're looking for, and they're going to meet your needs within your budget to make sure that the project, when it's finished, is one that you brag to the next people about. Oh, who did your floors? They look great. Michael's Flooring Outlet did our floors. You can learn more about them online, as I said, at IGotFloored.com. They have reviews there as well, so don't take my word for it. You can go read for yourself what people are saying about Michael's Flooring Outlet all across St. Louis. 30 years in the business of being the very best family-owned and operated neighbors where you can trust them with your flooring purchase. IGotFloored.com.
I appreciate everybody calling and the referrals that are being passed around. I want to say thank you to everybody that's helping their family out or their friends or whoever. Our growth in Illinois and the St. Charles area has been phenomenal, and we want to continue doing that. We're extremely busy. If I could get to everybody, I would. But if you have been told that you need a new air conditioner, regardless of the reason, save my number in your phone. Don't do it while you're driving. When you stop, when it's safe, put my name and number in your phone. Now remember, here's the name. It's Bart with a B, Inman with an I. Save it under, I know this is going to get so confusing, save it under A, that would be air conditioning. We got that? Save 314-293-2600. Under A for air conditioning. And if you would like to find out more on the internet, website, RonInman.com.
Ron had a tax problem he just couldn't handle on his own.
I owed the IRS taxes for over 5 years, but I didn't have any money to pay the taxes.
Those years cost him dearly.
Most of it was fees and interest. It was horrible.
Ron finally called in the pros.
I called Optima Tax Relief, and boy, am I happy I did.
The leading tax resolution firm, Optima, is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. They've resolved over $1 billion for their clients. Ron was overjoyed.
They settled my account with the IRS. I was ecstatic. They are a lifesaver. They are. I am so happy.
Take Ron's advice and call Optima now for a free consultation.
Yeah, don't do like I did and wait. Call Optima Tax Relief. Do it now. You'll be ecstatic like me.
Call 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. If you haven't had your AC system check, you're spending more money than you need to this summer to stay cool. Schedule your AC system check for as little as $15 a month. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Joe Beamer, he's going to shuffle in for Buffalo. Joe's going to be here to do the show. I will be back here on Friday, God willing, and the creek don't rise, as we say in Arkansas.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Amanda says, great song choices today, Hannah. You did a great job.
Thank you.
So we got the YouTube live chat poll today. You want to set it up for us? What do you have for us so far? Because people, this is kind of one of those open-ended ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's very scientific, though. I might add. But
Of course.
It's more of a the scientific.
Yeah, you gotta trust the scientific.
The scientific.
This is
poll. It's
Big
from
YouTube.
The Science. Yes, big YouTube.
All right,
Well,
today's poll question.
Erase that from. We didn't say that. No.
We're sorry.
I mean, little YouTube. I mean, it's just average, normal YouTube. That weird. Yeah.
We just want to issue a broad apology to our tech overlords.
Yes. We
All right.
can't wait to serve you.
Who's
Yeah,
the
we're
worst?
all in.
No,
Joe
who's
Biden.
the worst. Can you say it like that?
No.
Hey, Ryan, help her.
Who is the worst?
That works too. Brad?
Who is the worst?
That was pretty good.
Hannah? Who's the worst?
Who is the worst?
Yeah, there you go. That's good.
Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, or somebody else?
Who do you think? You want to say someone else and just like tell us somebody from your life?
I could do that. I voted Kamala Harris easily. She has intent and she knows what she's doing versus Joe Biden. I don't think knows what's going on, what's happening, what he's even putting into place. I don't think he has the brain capacity to understand what's going on. Seriously,
I love Hannah.
Oh, I like
coming
it.
from a hateful place, coming from actual care. I don't think he knows what he's doing.
Does Kamala Harris? So to her question, to her response, does Kamala, the things that drive me crazy about Kamala Harris? Do you think? I mean, there's no way she doesn't know about it. That people, they're laughing. And
somebody's told her.
And the word salad. That would not be brand new information. To Hannah's point, if in that essence she knows what she's doing, but she makes no effort.
No, it just keeps happening
to stop doing it. Although, I mean, in fairness, can you change the way you laugh? It's not always just
but you can just not laugh.
I was going to say there is the way she laughs and there's the frequency with which she laughs. And if the frequency weren't there, then I don't know that we would be as annoyed by the way that it is.
She's got the highest paid, most abundant, experienced advisors in the world. And she's still not changing it. So either they're too afraid to tell her that, hey, this is going on, but she has to know, because even the internet, you're going to see people making fun of you. You're going to know. So she just might be incapable of changing it.
Nothing is that funny. It's just not. And there are people listening right now who hate the way I laugh. And they're thinking this is an incredibly ironic statement. There are things that I know. I don't know what they are, because if I know what they are, and please don't, I don't want a whole email list of all the things you hate about me. I mean, I could probably, if you're going to send it to me this week, because I'm off next week, and maybe I'll just work that out on vacation. But there are things that I do that drive you crazy. And I understand that by virtue of being on 15 hours a week, that's going to happen. And then you kind of get used to people if you like them, and you move past it. We have all had habits that we've had to work on ourselves that we are cognizant of as broadcasters that we have to suppress. I will tell you some of mine. One of them was when I first started, I've always been self-conscious of how frequently I say because kids like.
I was going to say the same thing about me.
But I was made very aware of it. Thanks, Dad. And I worked really hard to suppress it. And if you listen to me talk now, I will say it from time to time, especially if we're in a conversation and things are going really fast, it'll come out of my mouth. But if I'm having a measured monologue of sorts, I will be very conscious of that. The other one that one of you fine listeners who had enough very kindly wrote me and said, why do you say absolutely after you hang up on your guests all the time, or end the conversation with your guests? You say absolutely every time. It drives me crazy. And I still to this day think about it. And when I got done with Jim Carafano, I made sure I didn't say absolutely.
You know what's weird is opening and closing an interview are the times when those things come up probably the most. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why that is.
I do. Because you're shifting in your brain from where you were. This sounds like a Kamala Harris thing, to where you're going.
And where you were isn't where you've been.
No, it's the passage of time. It's the passage of time from where you were to where you're going. And what your brain does is it's thinking about something other than what you're saying. Which is probably what is Kamala Harris' problem.
Unburdened by what has been.
You're really good at those.
Holy smokes.
I have to listen to her a lot.
Wait a second. She's brilliant.
I've never seen it from this light before.
I haven't either. Well, turn the lights back on.
Okay. It's feeling very, very dim in here.
But if you are there are things that you do in your life without having to put a lot of brain power in them because your muscle memory is there. And when you are welcoming people back into the show, or I'm playing a clip that I have to listen to so that I can set up a responsible question from the guest, but then I have to go into what I would call administrative business of properly introducing Andy McCarthy, who's the contributing editor at National Review. Brad knows this. He writes down their stuff on the paper, and if it's there, I will read it. Mm-hmm. It's a very Ron Burgundy situation.
I have a lot of power.
Yes. And same thing with Jim Carafano. So I have to go from getting into the segment, my brain does, to reading something to make sure that I properly introduce my guest, to shifting into an intellectual question. So there are things that your mouth starts doing where your brain is thinking about other things, which is where all of your crutches come in.
So,
Would you say that maybe the laughing is one of her crutches? It's how she switches into the next thing she's going to say?
I don't mean it this way, but I think it's how she passes time.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, I think that she says something, and then she maybe wasn't quite sure what she was saying, and then she laughs kind of through a couple seconds to give herself a chance to catch up.
Yeah. And everybody has them. Kamala Harris is just the vice president of the United States, and hers happens to be particularly annoying.
Yeah.
But on a human level, I kind of understand what she's doing. I don't think she's as comfortable and confident in her position as she should be. And I think it shows. And I think it shows for women more than it will for men. So I think that that's unfair. But I think Kamala Harris is the worst. I think that Joe Biden has medical excuses for his current situation, but Joe Biden also might be the most corrupt person to ever be in that office, which would make him the worst.
Ever?
Yeah.
Ever.
But it's all
We're
about
on the way.
It's all about the inflection of the word worst. Because if it was who's the worst, I think it would be Joe Biden just based on the corruption.
But
and
who's the
what he's
worst?
But who's the worst?
It's Kamala Harris.
It's who's insufferable, I think is the way that would be.
I'm voting Kamala Harris.
I'm Joe Biden.
If it was who's the worst, I'm voting George Soros, which is someone else.
Okay.
If it's who's the worst, I'm voting Kamala Harris.
Yeah. Joe Biden, you want to advocate for his worstism?
Yeah, because it's just, I believe that man plays off. He's crafted this I'm a good family man kind of person, and that's a complete lie and a complete falsehood. I believe he uses his family. He's not above using tragedy in his own life for his own political gain. I think that's one of the most slimy things you can do. I don't like how he pretends to be this nice guy, but then, like in that clip you played earlier today, you'll hear him talking about how
Jack.
Yeah, listen, fat. I mean, you would do some push-ups. He is a mean, grumpy man, and the older he gets, the less that filter is there to prevent it.
Andy says you have Joe Biden derangement syndrome.
I wouldn't call it derangement, but I definitely do not like that man. He is the worst.
There you go, Andy. He agrees.
There's a comment coming in that I think might spark something in you, Annie. Katie Matthews says, I considered voting for Joe Biden for allowing Joe to still have to do all this in his condition.
I have multiple Google accounts, and I will vote for both because that is factual. She is. I don't know. When Joe Biden and Jill Biden got together, Jill Biden was married. Not to him.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't know, like, the depth of their relationship. There was one time, and I don't want to cite it incorrectly, but Jill Biden was not a single woman when they started spending time together. And Joe Biden's wife had died in a car crash, correct?
Yes.
Along with Joe Biden's daughter?
Yeah, and his sons were injured in that.
Yeah. And I think Hunter was in the car when that happened too, correct? And was like
yes.
When if you are looking, again, the human experience, it's important to understand this. When you're looking at the human experience that Hunter Biden has lived, I feel bad for the guy. From a very young age, he did not live a lifestyle. He did not live the Midwestern apple pie existence that I've grown up in. And I can look at anybody who hasn't had the same childhood experiences that I have had and understand that their perspectives are going to be different than mine. And I think that's an important thing to do as people. To look at the way Hunter Biden was raised and the trauma that he experienced at a very young age, it makes sense to me that he would have a lot of problems. Mm-hmm. That fails to supersede my concern about him trading on his dad's name, who was the vice president of the United States, and using the influence that the American people bestowed upon Joe Biden when he was put into that office. And also, going back to the Jill Biden situation, there's no way that if the things that are being alleged, and please go back to the Andy McCarthy interview we had at 12:25, I think around 12:35 is when we started talking about Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, Devon Archer, all of that. You can rewind on the Odyssey app or just check the podcast. When you look at the body of evidence that exists that raises questions, it's very rare that one piece of evidence is the, literal smoking gun that people talk about in a court case. You have to put pieces of evidence together. Mm-hmm. There is evidence that may not make a complete and total chargeable criminal offense or whatever whatever the statute of limitations still allows for what is being alleged about the Biden family. I really fail to have the empathy, the human empathy for Joe Biden after these allegations are coming out and the evidence is mounting that I did before. And the anger that I have at Jill Biden for putting her husband, how do you love a man the way you're supposed to love your spouse? How do you love somebody the way you're supposed to love somebody in that relationship and put him in his state of mind in a position to be a public failure the way that Jill Biden has? And then I look at some of the stuff that's coming out and I'm like, well, I guess the stakes were that high. It'd be very useful if Joe Biden was the president of the United States. That's the way I see it. That's my view from where I sit. And it may be, I don't know if I have any pity for any of them right now. The only way that I will muster pity for these people is if they get what's coming. I don't know if that'll happen. Kamala? Is she the worst?
I think we've all agreed that if the worst is pronounced worst,
how is it not?
Then it's Kamala.
I think on the poll I capitalized worst, all of the letters for the inflection. Some comments from listeners with Hannah when we come back here on the Annie Frey Show. Get yours in by visiting us on YouTube. Go to Annie Frey, Frey, on YouTube, and you'll see that we are broadcasting live there. I got to check here. It's under 180 subscribers to get to 6,000. When are you going to tell us your idea?
I can tell you that I'm pretty sure that I have it. I haven't gotten it done, but now I can tell you that it exists.
So Ryan has just teased the fact that he's going to have a thought later. All right. Comments with Hannah when we come back.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Instagram at The Annie Frey Show.
This Thursday, July 27th, it's the Sip and Shop event at the Diamond Shop. You are going to want to check this out if you're looking for something beautiful. The Diamond Shop's annual summer clearance event starts on the 27th, and you're going to get to have a first pick at all the newly marked down items, as well as 10% off all watches during this event. Enjoy up to 70% off clearance items from July 27th until August 19th. Go visit them in Clayton. The Diamond Shop has been serving St. Louis since 1910, and they're owned and operated by the Cohn family, and they are so easy to work with, so helpful navigating a jewelry purchase, which could be a pretty penny if you're looking for something nice, maybe an engagement set or some sort of big anniversary gift. I want to remind you, they also have financing that is 6 months, same as cash. So if you are looking to make a bigger investment, they can't make it possibly easier for you to save during this clearance event and also engage in that 6 months save as cash option. Plus, be a VIP by signing up online at thediamondshop.net.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
I'm Jim Onder. Have questions after being injured in an accident? We'll match you with the Onder Law team that's right for you and your case.
Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
This is an important notice to all U.S. taxpayers. The IRS is giving away billions of dollars in tax savings through a federal program called the Fresh Start Initiative to aid delinquent taxpayers. This initiative was established for anyone facing financial hardship and unable to pay their back taxes. Qualifying and enrolling in this program will stop all collections, settle your delinquent tax problem, and even reduce what you owe by thousands of dollars. Call the hotline at People's Tax Relief to see if you qualify and get this free information by dialing 800-922-1284. If you have unfiled tax returns or cannot afford to pay your personal or business back taxes, you can now get the help you need. One simple phone call can resolve your tax problem and save you thousands of dollars. To see if you qualify and to get this important free information, call 800-922-1284. 800-922-1284. 800-922-1284.
Updating your home with James Hardie Siding has never been more popular. With all the options available, you need a partner to maximize your investment. The rising prices on vinyl siding has made Hardie Siding a great alternative. Siding Express is ready to refresh the appearance of your home or totally transform the look by installing Hardie Shake, board and batten, lap siding, or a stone accent to make it your dream home again. Siding Express is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor. Need ideas? Go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free, no-obligation consultation today.
Who's the worst? Who's awful? Who's insufferable? Who's a brat? Who's the brat worst? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, or someone else? The Annie Frey Show YouTube poll. That's what we want you to vote in. You just heard us talking about it. We want to know what you think. Get on there and vote. Who's the worst? The time is 1:48. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
Mining for truth in a landscape of BS. 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
I was left to my own devices. Many days fell away with nothing to show, and the walls kept tumbling down in the city that we love. Great clouds all over the hills, bringing darkness from above. But if you
And while we will fight to support immigrants and to protect DACA recipients, there is no substitute for action by Congress. Congress must create a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, individuals with temporary protected status, and for farm workers.
She didn't. Did you cut off the laugh? I probably instructed you at one time to do that. Here's another one from Kamala.
All of this is part of our blueprint together for what America can be. This is Bidenomics, a plan to invest in America and build a future in which all people can truly thrive.
Except for white people. I mean, when you listen to the administration talking on every issue that exists, there's always race that comes into the question. And when they talk about a blueprint together for what America can be and where all people can thrive, do you feel included in that, Ryan?
Well, no, I think less because of race and more just because of economics. I think they just are, man, they are sticking it to poor people and the middle class so bad. If you're rich, you're probably okay, but man, they don't care. They don't care about, especially mentioning Bidenomics in there.
You are a part of it. You just have to fund it. Hannah, what are people saying about today's YouTube live chat poll in the YouTube live chat?
The YouTube poll is asking who is the worst. Is it Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, or somebody else? We have some listeners' comments here. Dank says Adam Schiff is the worst.
He might be.
That's a good one.
Yeah, Dank knows.
Adam Schiff is the worst. Jaded says that they're going with the Clintons. So they think that the Clintons are the worst.
Dank Jaded.
Is Hillary Clinton way worse than Bill?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she's insufferable.
I disagree with Bill, but he seems like he's like at least a little likable. Like you could hang out with him.
I agree.
Some people like
I
him.
agree.
A lot.
Explain, Hannah, can you explain that?
Nope. Lori Felt says, though it's a toss-up between Biden and Harris, though Biden is slightly worse because he's unfortunately president, I don't see how anyone can say that he is so wonderful and has done much for the people. So Lori, I assume, voted Biden. Kurt Voss says, the poll question came down to Biden or Harris. I voted for Harris because she actually is aware of what she's saying.
Well,
Kurt.
Is she, though?
Kurt. Come on.
I mean,
man.
Eric Schrumpf says that he chose other, and he said the media. They lie and exaggerate about Trump, cover up and lie for Biden. Very untrustworthy. So the media is the worst.
I'll
to
allow it.
Eric Schrumpf. Matt says, I can't believe people actually think Trump is worse than Harris. So I'm assuming that you voted.
When you see somebody,
There are
usually,
6 people in our live chat every day, and I wanted to throw them a bone.
when you see somebody online saying, you know what, Joe Biden is just such a good man.
No.
But people do say this, and a lot of them are paid influencers.
I know.
But people say this, and the ones who aren't paid, do you think that they are trying to just convince themselves of that now? There's just too much out there. I mean,
no, I don't think they care if it's true. I don't think that. I think I think truth is a commodity that they can trade in when it's beneficial to them, but they don't need it. They don't need to believe it for it to be beneficial for him to continue to be the president. They don't care if it's true. It's helpful if it is, at best. But it's not about convincing people that Joe Biden, I mean, I don't honestly see a whole lot of that anymore, but it's just about Donald Trump. And Joe Biden is who he is relative to Donald Trump. And that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that in so many ways. I mean, the whole Russia thing, it seems as if I'm taking us down a different path here, but Russia, it seems as if there are people who do the same thing, like Joe Biden's a good man. With Russia, like I hate Russia so bad, but it's like they do because of Trump, like because of its relation to, in their minds, Trump. It always seems to come back. Every national or international issue comes down to how do you feel about Donald Trump?
Yeah.
No. Every issue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not international. Everything.
No, I said every domestic or international issue.
It doesn't matter what it is. It's all, they're obsessed with Donald Trump. It's ridiculous. The poll is, I'm looking at the results right now. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but I don't know. There's a definite leader here, but second and third place are pretty close. So Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, or someone else. You get in there and vote and tell us what you think about it. We talked in the 1245 segment in Wiggins America about Snow White and the fact that they cast a Latina to play, right? Isn't she Latina?
Mm-hmm.
To play Snow White, and the dwarves are no longer dwarfs. Are they still going with magical creatures?
No, I think they've moved away from that now.
They could maybe not do that.
Yeah. I think they realized that Snow White and the Seven Dwarves had to be dwarves, not magical creatures.
Do you believe that I'll ask you first, Brad, do you believe that the economic failures of Disney right now are directly tied to the content they're producing?
Yeah, I'm going to say yeah. I think that like even the stuff that comes out is garbage and people don't want to watch it. I think that they hit this perfect storm with superhero fatigue. So movies like Quantum Mania or whatever just don't hit because people are tired of that. So that's not the content people are desiring. And what has happened is that has left these horrible movies that they've come out with alongside those completely exposed to people going, you know what, I don't want to see it. And they don't have the money from those other movies to cover
I think the American people are so fickle and eager to be entertained that this problem is actually, it's fixable in the amount of time that you can create a product. Because you can't fix something faster than you can create it. And it takes how long? I know it's years, but how long does it take to create a good movie?
I guess it depends on the starting
5
point.
years?
From the time principal photography begins, maybe 10 months.
No, from
from
genesis of
inception,
idea. 4 or 5 years?
A few years.
Just a couple?
It can be as much as 10, but yeah.
Okay, we got to go.
We know it's not the parks that are hurting for money at Disney.
No, for sure. We'll be back in a minute. Don't go away.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But inflation and recession has you wondering if all your hard-earned equity will still be there. What if you could recession-proof your equity right now? You can with Truehold. Truehold will buy your home for its best current value before a recession can erode it. You get to bank all the cash now and live in your home for as long as you want. And Truehold covers all property taxes, insurance, repairs, and maintenance. And since Truehold pays your home's current value in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't wait for inflation, recession, and interest rates to erode your home's value. Visit Truehold.com and discover how much Truehold will buy your home for today, based on its best current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit Truehold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without having to move. That's Truehold.com.
It's so important to have somebody who's helping you navigate this current real estate market that understands the situation of availability, of knowing what a house's value truly is, what a house's value in a specific market is. And that's Jen Teskey. I had a real estate question the other day, and I was talking to her and a couple members of her team and asking them these questions that I know that they're going to give me straight answers, and like straight answers. Here's what you need to know, not what you want to hear. That's really important when you're investing in a real estate purchase or if you're looking to sell your home. Inventory is incredibly light right now. So if you've ever been thinking about listing your home, I want you to consider Jen Teskey on the Illinois side of the river. You can call or text her at 618-541-1010. Call or text 618-541-1010 and figure out how you can partner with Jen Teskey and her team at RE/MAX Alliance to get your house sold for top dollar and as fast as you would like. Jen Teskey is the best in the business on the Illinois side of the river, 618-541-1010.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
Well, House Republicans make a move. On Lisa Brady, Fox News. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy not ruling out an impeachment probe of President Biden, telling reporters he can't ignore what's been learned in a House oversight probe related to Hunter Biden's business dealings.
Where's the truth? You've got to get to the bottom of the truth. And the only way Congress can do that is go to impeachment inquiry that gives Republicans and Democrats the ability to get all the information.
It's not clear the House has enough votes to impeach. Some Republicans also want to impeach other officials, including the Homeland Security chief, the president, denying any involvement in his son's business dealings. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis continues a reset of his presidential campaign. Sources confirming more staff cuts to Fox News, calling it part of aggressive steps to streamline operations. DeSantis continues to trail former President Trump in early polls of the Republican field, running 26 points behind in second place in a new Monmouth University poll. President Biden is creating a new national monument honoring Emmett Till on what would have been his 82nd birthday.
I know I'm considered too much of an optimist, but I believe if we keep pushing, we're going to continue to make progress.
Till's murder in 1955, when he was 14, helped galvanize the civil rights movement. Monument sites in Illinois and Mississippi will pay tribute to Till and his mother. An immigration rule helping to limit asylum seekers at the southern border is being blocked by a federal judge who says migrants are at a heightened risk of violence while they wait in Mexico for adjudication. The ruling is stayed, however, to allow more time for appeal. A tentative deal to avoid a UPS strike.
We're taking care of our members that go into work every single day, especially the part-timers. This is going to improve their lives tremendously, but it's also going to add stability to UPS's workforce.
Teamsters President Sean O'Brien telling Fox Business it's historic. It also includes air-conditioned trucks. America is listening to Fox News.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation, weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Well, it feels like late July. Should feel partly sunny, hot, moderate humidity. Another batch of some scattered thunderstorms possible late afternoon. 95 for the high. Tonight, a couple of thunderstorms around early evening. Then again, late night, partly cloudy, 75. Wednesday, partly sunny, breezy. Some spot thunderstorms possible. It's hot, 97 on Wednesday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Attention taxpayers, ready for some bad news? With $80 billion in new funding from Congress, the IRS has launched their most aggressive hiring campaign ever to ramp up enforcement. If you're ignoring your taxes, don't delay another minute because your paycheck, your bank account, even your home or business could already be at risk. Now, here's the good news. Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm, can get to work immediately, helping to protect you from the IRS. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their tax attorneys and licensed professionals are experts at resolving tax problems. Let them help determine if you qualify for the Fresh Start Initiative or other powerful IRS tax assistance programs. Take control. Call Optima Tax Relief now for a free consultation.
Call 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
AMCO presents Bet You Didn't Know.
Bet you didn't know that your car's transmission is made up of 800 pieces. Also, bet you didn't know that AMCO's fixed over 40 million transmissions and that AMCO offers a nationwide warranty.
AMCO offers easy payment plan options for most any credit situation, so you can fix it fast and pay it off slow at AMCO.
That's AMCO, AA, MCO.
We all know about the speed of sound, but have you ever thought about the sounds of speeding? Drive too fast and you could hear the sound of your vehicle crashing, because one way or another, speeding catches up with you. Paid for by NHTSA.
Sunbelt Solomon is hiring in St. Louis. Join our field transformer recycling team. Work with your hands, run heavy equipment, operate power tools, and travel. Sunbelt Solomon offers full benefits like great health insurance and paid sick and vacation time. Apply today at sunbeltsolomon.com. That's sunbeltsolomon.com.
You're listening to award-winning, thought-provoking talk. You're listening to 97.1 FM Talk.
Your home for conservative talk.
On the air for over 20 years. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong, I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Devon Archer is not volunteered to do this. I'm told that he's not doing this out of revenge or anything. He's just decided to comply with the request from the House committee. He's been at the centre of this story and been talked about non-stop for, 2.5 years. And I think he just wants to clear his name and tell the truth. And the truth that he has to tell is very damaging to Joe Biden, because, of course, Joe Biden's always maintained that he knew nothing about his son Hunter's overseas business dealings. And we've reported about the numerous meetings, at least a dozen of Hunter's business partners who Joe Biden met.
Miranda Devine reporting with the New York Post on what is taking place with these impending Devon Archer depositions. He is supposed to be giving his testimony, I think, 3 other times. It's potentially coming next Monday. When we spoke with Andy McCarthy, did he allude to us that maybe it wouldn't be happening Monday?
Yeah, well, he's changed it 3 times already.
Yeah,
yes.
But I mean,
kind of.
I don't remember if Andy McCarthy said that they weren't happening or if he just didn't, he expected them to get moved again. If you were Devon Archer and you were photographed with these business partners that are part of this whole conversation, is there a picture with Hunter Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That is incredible. It is on Fox News right as you said it. I mean, they popped up right when you said it. It wasn't as if you even knew that it was there. There's the picture.
$1 million.
Hey, look, a picture of $1 million.
That's so crazy.
Wow.
I was literally going to say, isn't there a picture with Devon Archer, Hunter Biden, and Joe Biden? But I was kind of hesitant to say that because if there were, that would be damning.
It sure would
and
be.
Here it is.
Well.
If you were watching the YouTube live, you will see me extend my hand to the right, and behind Ryan Wiggins is a big television that we always have Fox News on in case news is breaking, and it happened.
Yeah.
I'm a little thrown off by that.
Oh, you just manifest whatever. Speak it, claim. What is it? Name it, claim it.
Name it, claim it.
Yeah.
Do you need a minute?
I do.
If this were like the 1800s, you'd think I was a witch.
I would.
But
And I would
not
buy
now.
whatever you were selling.
Not now.
No. Now I think you're just a great friend. Has nothing to do with the picture.
Yeah. You're
you
like,
know.
that's what I was supposed to say, right?
Can you put it in the private chat?
Yeah.
Did I say that okay?
Say that we're friends. Say it out loud.
Say friend more, Ryan. You freaking jerk.
If Devon Archer is going to give this testimony about the things that he was doing in business with Hunter Biden and able to say, yeah, Joe Biden joined us on speakerphone all the time, that's a problem. That's a huge problem for Joe Biden. And again, this isn't just about Hunter Biden, folks. It's bigger than that. And I will give you the activist media's take on this. Margaret Brennan. Who's Margaret Brennan with?
She's CNN.
CNN. It was interviewing Chris Christie about this situation and going, is it time yet that we just leave Hunter alone?
The president's son, Hunter Biden, who's going to appear in court this week to plead guilty to 2 misdemeanor tax charges and will enter into an agreement that could avert conviction on a gun-related charge. The deal has infuriated many congressional Republicans who are holding their own hearings. And I wonder, after this plea happens, if you would advise your party to move on.
No, I wouldn't, Margaret, and here's why. The conduct here by the U.S. Attorney in Delaware and by the Justice Department it just can't be justified. It doesn't take 5 years, Margaret. As you mentioned, I was the U.S. Attorney in the 5th largest office in the country for 7 years during the Bush administration. It does not take 5 years to investigate 2 misdemeanor tax counts and to dismiss a gun charge. And we need to know what they were investigating and why these are the charges they concluded to. This is not just any person. This is the son of the President of the United States.
And then Vice President of the United States. There is something very, very big brewing here. And the truth is that it's not brewing just now. It's been brewing for years. Just when Chuck Grassley was talking and commenting when the House was impeaching Donald Trump on the air quotes perfect phone call, which I've read the whole transcript. I still fail to see the smoking gun in the phone call to Zelensky that Trump had that Adam Schiff made. Well, I guess actually that makes sense to me. He always promised us that there was more. Newsflash, there wasn't. The comments that Chuck Grassley was making about concerns that the American government had, and there were things he could comment on, and there were things he couldn't comment on because it was an investigation that was ongoing. It was into Hunter Biden. It was into Hunter Biden's relationship with Burisma, which was in Ukraine, who the phone call was between Donald Trump and Zelensky, and the question was, what's going on here? We'd like some cooperation with you. That now we continue to see as evidence mounts up against Joe Biden via his delinquent son, Hunter Biden, that there are a lot of questions that the American people deserve answers for. You, as a citizen, a tax-paying citizen of this country, deserve and must demand the truth. You cannot sit idly by and sit on your left or right side of the political aisle here. It's not about that. It's about something way bigger than that. And if the truth bears out that all of these allegations towards Joe Biden are a bunch of hooey, and maybe somebody on the right paid some sort of informant on the left to make something up entirely, completely, to try to throw the opposing party off the scent of what is really happening, then gosh darn it, I'd want to know the truth.
Well, I think what you're saying is really important because this isn't, and I don't know, I think I'm speaking on behalf of all us here. I don't want a witch hunt. I don't want to just go after Joe Biden because he's a Democrat and I don't like his policies. I don't like what he's doing at the border and stuff like that. I want to find out, was this guy selling out his position in the White House as vice president, maybe even as president, or not? If he was betraying the country, I think this is what you're saying, because it's not about whether you're left or right. It should be just, what is the truth as an American? Was this guy corrupt? Was he selling us out? If so, I want to know. And I want there to be punishment. I want there to be justification for that.
Enter the Speaker of the House, who, by the grace of God, is a Republican, because the Republicans eked out an incredibly slim majority. Speaker McCarthy on this issue.
When President Biden was running for office, he told the American public that he's never talked about business. He said his family has never received $1 from China, which we now prove is not true. We now have some of the most credible whistleblowers. These 10-year IRS agents who have come forward said that the Biden family has been treated differently, that what Weiss has told us is different than what Garland and Weiss has told the public. And you're sitting here today where now you have found millions of foreign money, just what the 1023 alleges they did to Biden's family. Now we found that it has funneled through shell companies. If you're sitting in our position today, we would know none of this if Republicans had not taken the majority. We've only followed where the information has taken us. But Hannity, this is rising to the level of impeachment inquiry, which provides Congress the strongest power to get the rest of the knowledge and information needed. Because this president has also used something we have not seen since Richard Nixon, used the weaponization of government to benefit his family and deny Congress the ability to have the oversight.
Yeah, and now you have a Speaker of the House who is in a position to do something about it. And I'm happy to hear that it's on the table.
And a lot of these things that we've been speculating about since before the election have now been proven true. And that's one of the reasons that what he's doing is good, because it's moving from speculation and really like not even deep speculation, just we have emails, we can see what they're talking about, but they're actually putting it in the congressional record now and saying, this is true. You have testimony now saying, yes, there's been favorable treatment. There's been this money moving through. You know, the Treasury's been notified by banks multiple times that there's been money laundering and they've done nothing about it. These things are all in the record now.
Well, the notifications from the banks are what launched the whole thing in the IRS to begin with. I mean, that was the testimony of the IRS whistleblowers. Like, the reason we're looking at this is because we got these reports from these banks of suspicious activity. So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. The question is do we really do people really want to know the truth, or are we just going to kind of put this aside because the other guy bad?
McCarthy last night on Hannity was talking about the possibility of starting these impeachment inquiries about Joe Biden.
Well, I took away from that was some time off, because there needs to be more evidence found. The conversation with Devon Archer is going to be important. The Weiss, the U.S. attorney's conversation, testimony before the committee is going to be important. That's not going to take place until September or maybe even October. But clearly, there's something sleazy here.
So the stench is palpable, and everybody knows it. And it's going to have to materialize. And I say we've got, 469 days? Did I say 470 yesterday in the air? Yep. 469 days until the election here. Is that enough time?
It's plenty of time if people want to step up and do it. It's not going to be enough time because they're going to Democrats in the Senate aren't going to do anything about it. Joe Biden, being the president, isn't going to do anything about it. He's not going to sick the DOJ on himself. Yeah. It's plenty of time. But what's Congress going to be able to do is the question, or what's the House going to be able to do?
I'm very intrigued into how this is going to unfold, and I am very intrigued as to how voters and taxpayers are going to pay attention to this, because if there's one thing that I think is true on a bipartisan level, is everything that oozes out of Washington, D.C. is repulsive to the American people. And Donald Trump, in his own right, is repulsive to half of this country. Joe Biden was tolerable to enough people in this country. And if this makes him not tolerable, intolerable, the Democrats are not going to stick with this. There's too much at stake. It's not about losing the election. It's about losing the election to Donald Trump. And there's no reason to believe, looking at the state of affairs right now, yes, 469 days out, that Donald Trump isn't going to be the Republican nominee. There is nothing that is happening to Donald Trump right now that is causing his support to wane. But his support to me is a mile deep and an inch wide, and we need to make sure that we get enough a mile wide, even if it's an inch deep, to support the Republican nominee because the stakes are too high. There is no way, shape, or form for anybody who understands the allegations against Joe Biden to think that Joe Biden is the only guy who's been in Washington, D.C., the only family who's been in Washington, D.C., who has used their position for their own advantage. We've talked on this show about how Donald Trump's children have agreements and deals across the globe that have us asking questions that we would in turn like the same answers for, where certain things, was it patents in China and certain deals in, is it Saudi Arabia
yeah.
that are with Jared Kushner. I mean, there are a lot of things that happen once you get into that Beltway in Washington, D.C. You get opportunities afforded to you. And if that's the reason, while they'll do anything to preserve their power in Washington, D.C., then we have lost the basis for which we have a we the people country, and we need to get it back. And I'm not talking about from the Democrats. I'm talking about from the people who don't remember what it's like to be us. From the people who have been born into this caste system that separates them from us. We need to remind them of that. And it seems like the closer you get to weeding that out, the more agitated that system becomes. And I think that we're getting closer to it. Do you think for a second that the Clintons, if we wanted to invest this kind of time and energy into looking to how the Clintons have benefited themselves, Haiti,
right,
just in one place to Google if you're not familiar with it. The Bushes are a family that have been there. I don't know the answer to these questions, but I'm telling you, left or right or center, if you are using your position in power to enrich yourself on my taxpayer time and my taxpayer dollar and your taxpayer time and your taxpayer dollar, I don't care what the party is. I want to know about it. And the most obvious and evident bastardization of this, you would almost say it would take a crack and hooker addict to be so irresponsible with this game that so many other people have perfected in order to expose the whole damn thing.
It's so true, because we know that this stuff, I think America in general, and probably not even America, probably the whole world, if you're not among the elite class of people, wherever you are, you know that people are protecting themselves at the top, America included, and it's probably been going on for a long time. But the difference now is that the agencies, this giant government, as Tucker Carlson calls it, permanent Washington, they've always protected their own, and it probably has nothing to do with party until it became Donald Trump, and then permanent Washington has turned and gone after him in ways that they would protect others. And that's why this has become a story, is not because it's the first time you've ever had a president or a vice president or a congressperson probably engaged in kickbacks and international intrigue, bribery schemes. It's the first time that you've seen the dichotomy between the two, of one being protected by the state and the other being persecuted by the state.
We're going to get to the bottom of it, and it's going to be a bumpy ride. I don't think that this goes down easily. Let's take a quick break here on the Annie Frey Show. Check the Odyssey app and rewind to 12:25 to hear one of the top legal minds who was just on Fox News with Jason Chaffetz and Martha McCallum, talking about a lot of the stuff we've discussed here. Andy McCarthy was with us at 12:25. It's also on the Annie Frey Show podcast. Jim Carafano talking about what's taking place on the southern border once again, and the action that the Biden administration has taken against Texas regarding those floating barriers in the Rio Grande. So we've covered a lot. We're going to have a little more fun here on the Annie Frey Show before we get to the poll results with Hannah at 2:45. You need to go vote on our YouTube live chat poll. Who's the worst? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, or someone else? Leave a comment. We'll be back in just a minute.
And so I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and I get real.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Top of my lungs, what's going on?
Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
Man, the Andrea Steakhouse story is so cool, and it's a local story. Sam Andrea in 1978, and probably before that, was a jazz musician, and he loved cooking for his friends, so they'd do these jazz concerts in the basement of this building, and then he'd cook awesome steaks upstairs, and they'd have a party. And that's how the restaurant started, and it's in that same tradition. Now, he stumbled upon this Andrea sauce. You know, he was a chef, he was a cook, and so he made this Andrea sauce, and everybody started going, oh my gosh, the jazz is great, but I'm coming for food now. This is incredible. What was just kind of a friendly thing became a business, and that's what Andrea's is, and it's all based on that fantastic Andrea's steak sauce created in 1978. It's become world famous right here from St. Louis. So if you've never gotten a bottle for yourself, summer is a great time to do that. If you're grilling, I mean, you can get it in the winter too and use it inside, but man, grilling with Andrea's sauce on your steaks or whatever protein you've got, it's going to make it fantastic and make some memories with it as well. Get Andrea's at Schnucks or Deerbergs or Andreas.com and make it a part of your summer right now. Andreas.com.
You've been wanting to check out that news story that everyone's talking about, but you just can't find the time. That's why the On Deadline podcast is here. We pull together interviews from Odyssey's radio newsrooms across the country and add important context so you can really get the news fast. From wildfires and catastrophes at sea to new laws and presidential candidates, we'll have coast-to-coast coverage for you all in one place. Subscribe to On Deadline on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your podcasts.
Mark Cox here. Join me, Annie Frey, and Mark Reardon, along with Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group for the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. It's Tuesday, August 8th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Seats are limited, so go online to retirementkey.com. Here's Thomas with more.
Are you getting near retirement or wondering if you'll be able to live the same lifestyle as you are now? Do you worry about losing your nest egg in the next big market correction? Did you know if you're 59 and a half or older, you can roll over your company retirement plan tax-free to protect your nest egg and provide more income than most investment options? Would you like to know why linking to the market is safer than owning the market? You'll get all the answers and more. If you're 59 and a half or older, you don't want to miss this event.
Protect your retirement nest egg. Join the official financial advisors of my show, Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw, Tuesday, August 8th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
I stopped smoking with Mark Patrick's hypnosis when nothing else worked. 1 year later, my wife Michelle and I attended the Mark Patrick Weight Loss Hypnosis Seminar. In 2 months, lost 43 pounds, and she lost 18 pounds.
And we feel great. Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed early bird specials at $49.99. Seminar Saturday, August 5th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites St. Louis Airport in St. Louis. Or Sunday, August 6th at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gslhonorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
Download the Odyssey app to listen to 97.1 FM Talk and find content that moves you. Anytime, anywhere. The Odyssey app for 97.1 FM Talk on the go. The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Democracies have become stronger, not weaker. Autocracies have grown weaker, not stronger. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me one. Name me one.
I don't know what to do. I'm panicking.
I think you're supposed to name him one.
I don't know that there's an answer to the question he's asking because I don't think he's asking the right question.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, what's the question again?
Did he say trade spaces?
Justin Trudeau!
Yeah. Trading spaces. Eddie Murphy.
Biden's dog commander terrorizes Secret Service in extremely aggressive rampage emails. The headline came out and it says President Biden's not the only one angry in the White House. Fox News reports President Biden's dog Commander, the nearly 2.5-year-old German Shepherd who replaced former first dog Major, over aggressive behavior, bit 7 people in a 4-month period, according to a new report.
Oh, that's what he meant to say, not who replaced Xi Jinping, who replaced my dog.
Yeah.
2.5 years ago.
The other dog's real name was Xi Jinping.
Yeah. Oh, that's what it was.
That's why he kept biting people.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the more serious incidents involving Commander, according to internal Secret Service communications first reported by the New York Post, led to the White House's physician's office referring a Secret Service officer to the hospital for treatment on November 3rd, 2022, after the individual was bitten by the dog on the thigh and arm.
Wow.
Yikes, that's a double biter.
Other emails released under the Freedom of Information Act to conservative legal group Judicial Watch revealed the commander had broken the skin of another Secret Service. That commander, not the commander. Just so we're clear
Commander
here.
Bit Commander.
That commander had broken the skin of another Secret Service member's hand and arm just weeks later after Biden removed his leash outside the White House following a family movie night. The family movie was Cujo. In January, Commander bit and latched on to a security technician's back.
Wow. That's a powerful bite.
At Biden's home in Wilmington.
I probably just latched onto that excess back skin everybody has.
It just seems to be a lot of rage.
In the dog.
In October 2022, a Secret Service officer emailed colleagues warning that it was only a matter of time before the Biden's canine pet bit an officer. Quote, Commander has been exhibiting extremely aggressive behavior, the officer wrote on October 26. The most serious incident involving Commander occurred on that November 3rd, 2022 date, when a Secret Service officer was seated at the bottom of a stairwell at the White House. The dog, quote, came down the stairs and walked toward the officer, according to an internal agency email, before he bit the officer's arm on the tricep area. When the officer stood up, Commander bit down on the quad muscle area of the officer's leg.
That's so... It's not like the officer was even, like...
He's just sitting at the
playing
bottom
with
of
the dog. He's just sitting there.
Oh,
the dog
great.
came up and bit him twice.
Comes the dog.
One officer stated that the attack victim reported, quote, a considerable amount of pain and used a steel cart to shield himself from the dog's attack.
Was this a shopping cart hanging out in the White House?
Steel cart?
Ah.
I don't know that it was like a Walmart buggy.
Somebody give me that shopping cart.
So why do we have this? This is from...
It's just to hit the dog
This
with.
is when Major was here. We used it to defend Major off.
They need a whistleblower to come out and reveal those emails that Secret Service agents were writing to each other saying, look, this is a ticking time bomb.
The inquiring colleague responded, what a joke. If it wasn't their dog, he would already have been put down. Freaking clown needs a muzzle. Boy, people.
I was just sitting here thinking, they're lucky this dog is going after like the Secret Service people, because if this was the DEA, the ATF, they would have wasted that dog a long time ago.
While First Lady Jill Biden walked Commander in the Kennedy Garden near the east wing of the White House, the dog bit a Secret Service uniformed officer on the left thigh, causing bruising, tenderness, and pain in the bite area.
Is it only Secret Service that the dog has a problem with? Is he biting other people or just them?
I don't know, but I have some helpful information.
Oh, good.
6 sweet signs when someone is their favorite human.
Oh.
For dogs.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Can we apply these to people?
I feel another video coming on.
Why do you think I'm doing this? More from the Fox News article here. It says agency employees are encouraged to report any job-related injuries to their immediate supervisors for appropriate documentation. As such, we are aware of past incidents involving first family pets, and these instances were treated similarly to comparable workplace injuries. It's just a part of the job.
Yeah.
Getting bit by the president's dog.
Yeah. Just
That's
like
a German Shepherd. It's not like it's a Shih Tzu.
just like a cat cafe.
To include with relevant notifications and reporting procedures followed. While special agents and officers neither care for nor handle the first family's pets, we continuously work with all applicable entities to minimize adverse impacts in an environment that includes pets. There is a whole host of people on the left that if it was their like 3-year-old that was biting people would be like aggressive towards having children.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. I just love that they have to issue a statement. You know, the statement is, well, while we appreciate dogs in all their forms, sometimes dogs do things that dogs do, and therefore we need to pay more attention to the dog. You know?
Dogs give 6 sweet signs when someone is their favorite human. The first one being they bring you their toys.
Oh, that's neat. I would have thought that was a sign of aggression, but guess that they love you.
Depends on what their toys are.
It walks up to you
With
holding
a
a
hatchet.
knife.
Yeah.
Hey, wait a minute. That's my safe from my closet.
No, don't shake your head.
They follow you everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, or they're just hungry.
They lick you a lot.
Okay. Or they got sores.
Or they're hungry.
Yeah.
They love to lean on you.
Oh, yeah. Dog hug.
Yeah.
A dog hug?
Yeah, that's a dog hug.
What?
When they lean on you. They can't wrap their arms around you. I mean, I guess they can. You can make them do it. But the natural dog hug is the lean.
They excitedly wag their tail when you enter the room.
I wouldn't have known that. I see that and I go, what in the world are you trying to communicate?
Aren't you just thinking, what do you want?
I don't know, but I love that it takes the article to be like, when they wag their tail, that's when you know they're happy.
You've never seen somebody walk into a room with a dog and the dog doesn't wag their tail and get excited?
Sure, yeah. But when they do, you know that they're happy.
Okay. They always stare at you even when you're not looking.
That's a sign of affection?
We should go to break.
Well, I would have thought that was, I would have interpreted that as possible intimidation. Like they're staring you down.
How would you know you're not looking?
I'm just glancing over because I'm intimidated.
Let's get to the poll results when we come back. Don't go away.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Instagram at The Annie Frey Show.
August 8th, Tuesday, August 8th at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30 p.m. is the next Protecting Your Retirement educational event. I'm going to be there at 6 o'clock, and I'll be there till about 6:30, 6:40, and I would love to meet you. I would love to shake your hand and get to know you a little bit before we start the event, where Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw and Tammy Kershaw and the amazing team at the Retirement Advisory Group help you understand how to prepare for that shift out of accumulation of assets to the preservation of those assets because you're nearing retirement. If you're 59 and a half or older, you're in a special position in your life to make sure that you can make some really smart moves. And the Retirement Advisory Group is there to help you with that. Reserve your spot for the Tuesday, August 8th event at the Frontenac Hilton at 6:30 p.m. Seats are limited, so if you can go online to retirementkey.com, you can register there or you can call 314-993-9494. That's 314-993-9494. Reserve your spot online at retirementkey.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
I'm Jim Onder. When you're injured and in your darkest hour, Onder Law is not only on your side, we're by your side.
Onder Law Personal Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
You remember Satchmo's Bar and Grill. Their owner, Ben Brown, helped lead the fight against Sam Page's lockdown. Mark Cox here. You're going to love this restaurant. Chef-prepared daily lunch and dinner specials. Happy hour 3 to 6, 7 days a week. Weekly specials. Wagyu meatloaf on Monday night. Steak night on Wednesdays for just $10.95 and burger night on Thursdays. Check them out on Facebook or online at satchmosgrill.com at Olive in 141.
Today's YouTube live chat poll is asking, who is the worst? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, or someone else? I will be delivering the final poll results when we get back into the next break. The time is 2:38. This update is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Reardon Show.
KSDK Sports Director Frank Cusimano. How do you think Adam's going to do?
It would be nice to see him get to 200, but I don't know if anybody has any idea how he's going to perform.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
Well, don't waste time. Give me the sign. Tell me how you want to roll.
This morning, tragedy unfolding near the Obama family's Martha's Vineyard estate. Police recovering the body of 45-year-old Tafari Campbell, a beloved personal chef and friend of the former president and first lady. The call for help came in Sunday evening for the missing paddleboarder, who witnesses tell police was last seen wearing all black before they eventually lost eye contact with him.
So this sous chef from the White House who worked with the Obama administration, I believe he was with the Bush administration beforehand. I don't know if he just said that in that report. Tafari Campbell, who passed away outside of Martha's Vineyard, of the Obama estate at Martha's Vineyard. There are a lot of things about this that there are a lot of questions that need to be answered. And I know that a lot of people would immediately go to the super dramatic Hollywood tale stories of what could be going on here. It's possible this guy was out for a swim and he drowned.
Yeah, that was kind of my first impression was, well, why wouldn't you also assume that that's a very good possibility?
Do you trust everybody involved to get to the bottom of it? The Justice Department and the media?
I don't trust them to do anything.
Correct. Other than cover for their own.
Yeah.
This is kind of the point regarding this story. It's really sad. Apparently the Clintons had a chef die as well.
Of course.
In the climate we're living in right now, when you have something like this happen, everybody fills in the gaps. Because you're not gonna rely on the Justice Department to get to the bottom of it. When the truth is that, I don't know, 9 out of 10 times they're getting to the bottom of it. Maybe 9.9% out of the times, 10 times they're getting to the bottom of it. But there's so much distrust or mistrust in the Justice Department right now on the level that gets news coverage that you kind of scratch your head and you kind of want to publicly ask questions about it. And the same thing goes with the media. Do you trust the media? If there were, on the off chance, if there were something super scandalous about the death of Tafari Campbell, do you trust the media to go, we gotta get to the truth here?
No, not at all. And they've shown that they don't do that. I mean, all the evidence shows that if there's somebody in power or it has to do with retaining power, they're not going to touch it I mean, the DOJ for sure isn't going to do anything. And maybe you're right. Maybe they are getting to the bottom of a lot of cases that we don't know about. But they've shown over and over that if it comes to people in power, they're going to be hands off.
Not people in power. People in power on the left.
Now it is, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like my automatic thoughts to direct into, well, obviously, that this is some sort of cover up or some, it could be, it's possible that Tafari Campbell died because something happened, but it's not on the salacious level politically that fits the interest with which the assumptions are being made. Maybe there was something bad that happened, but maybe it was between two people, and the Obamas literally had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, you don't know.
You want to be able to trust the reports that come out. You want to be able to trust people to pursue truth and to want the personal satisfaction of journalism that is going to pursue truth and uncover truth. And your job is done when the truth is uncovered. And then people get to take that truth that is real and, unbendable, and they get to think whatever they want about it. But once the truth has been uncovered and presented, now it's out there, and now the people can do what they want with it. But your job as a journalist is done when you've exposed the truth and told the story.
Yeah, it is a full-time job for an average American to pay attention to the news now. Mm-hmm. Because you have to dig into every story. And a lot of times, and I don't know about this one in particular, but a lot of times you'll read a story and the slant is so hard that you'll get into the story and realize, well, this is what it's really about. But that used to be the reason you had headlines, is because you could shortcut knowing what was going on by just reading a headline, maybe a byline, and then moving along. But you have to spend all of your time doing that to be fully informed anymore, especially if you're going to have opinions or debates with anybody about this stuff.
We had a conversation before the show started. It was a very important question. I said I was going to table it for later. Do you guys remember what it was?
Yes.
Do you?
I remember that, but I don't remember what it was.
That's why I wrote it down right here.
Okay, good.
Has nothing to do with anything. And before we get to the results, Hannah, why don't you tee up here real quick the YouTube live chat poll so people can go vote right now on the Annie Frey YouTube channel for this poll today.
Who is the worst? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, or somebody else?
Some might say who is the worst. Some might say Ryan.
Who is the worst?
Brad?
The worst.
Yeah, exactly like that. Let us know who you think by going to the Annie Frey YouTube channel, and you can vote for Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, or you can pick somebody else and leave a comment. Hannah's going to feature those here in a second. Here's a question I had for the gentleman in the room.
Oh, yeah.
For the gentleman in the room. And Hannah, I'm going to be interested to hear what your thoughts are on this question as well, but from a different perspective.
Oh, boy.
If you are in a public place, let's say you're at a youth sports event and somebody mistakes you for somebody else, and they're really mad at you, a female mistakes you for somebody else, and they come up to slug you, and they're either going to punch you or they're going to slap you. As men being accosted by a woman, which we all know what that means here, is it worse to be punched by a woman or slapped by a woman?
Do you want to go first?
No, Ryan, I'm going to let you go first.
And then Hannah's going to punch or slap you.
Yeah.
Okay. Knowing
Let's
that.
test this theory.
She's stronger than I am, so.
No.
You kickbox and stuff. I would say kick is the lowest on the list.
Roundhouse kick?
Yeah, I would say that would be lowest.
Very flexible.
I think I would choose to be punched.
So you're saying slap would be worse? I'm
I
asking.
think
The
so.
question is, which would be worse?
Yeah, I think slap would be worse.
Why?
Twofold. One, I think a slap might hurt a little bit more because it's open palm.
Mm-hmm.
And socially, that is saying something that you're going to have to defend to whoever is around much more than that lady was crazy and she punched me. I think what that's saying is knew that
it's a
woman.
total misunderstanding.
Yes.
But she thinks that you're somebody you're not. She comes
Yeah.
up to deck you. You think you're going to have to explain more to people? You're worried about explaining to people more? A slap over a punch?
I see what you're saying.
I am, because if she slaps me,
socially,
people are going to think she had a reason for that. That guy did her wrong in some way.
But a punch,
I can say, "What's up with crazy punch lady?" And then everybody goes, "I don't know. She's just swinging punches at people for no reason."
Good story.
Yeah, I was just.
Everybody goes, "You're right, Ryan. What's up with crazy punch lady?"
Yeah. Initially, whenever you
Which
pose
is
this,
worse?
When you initially posed this question, I was thinking, well, a punch would hurt way worse than a slap. You know, that's what a punch is supposed to do. But the more I thought about it, I'm kind of lining up with Ryan here. There is a social understanding. There's a stigma that goes along with being slapped. If you get punched, it means she was mad at you. But if you get slapped, there's almost like it was not just that she was mad or mad at you. You did something.
It was
personal, and you insulted her honor in some way.
So give me an example of where a punch would be warranted and not a slap. Because I think I understand where we're going with the slap. But why would a woman punch,
like if you knew them,
somebody?
if you knew a woman?
No, I mean in this scenario, because I don't want to
Like,
allege.
let's say I knew a woman.
I don't know. It's kind of a stretch.
It is.
And you're like the nicest wife ever. No, in a scenario where a woman feels the need to physically accost a man, I understand where we're implying that the slap would come in. Why would it be a punch instead of a slap? Name a scenario that might warrant a punch, but not a slap.
I would say a punch would be if you're trying to hurt a woman. A punch would be more effective in maybe getting away.
No, what?
We're not talking about us to them.
You can't hit her back.
No.
Stop.
I'm talking
Brad,
about her.
No, I don't think we're in the same room.
I think he's talking about like a punch is warranted when the woman is being assaulted.
Yeah.
Like,
that's
a
Defending
self-defense,
yourself.
getaway, life and death thing.
Wait, you're saying that the woman would punch someone who was attacking her?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's not the scenario.
But I'm talking this woman walks up to you at
Oh, it's still a stranger.
I mean, unless you did something to her.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I got to know. I mean, these are very fine lines.
No, it's all made up.
I know, but I got to know the details.
I need you to give me a minute. Brad.
Okay, here we go.
Brad.
Let's see. So generally, whenever I've seen somebody get
I'm
slapped,
going to tell you the scenario
Brad,
where
let's-
you get punched.
Brad, let's say
and
you-
it's happening in real time.
Brad, let's say you know a woman.
yeah. Okay. Easy enough to pretend here. So when I've seen men get slapped, it's usually because they have done something to insult the woman's honor, or the woman has perceived her honor as being.
You keep doing the show.
Yeah, I got to look at that though. Oh man. So it's a man has done something, whether he like touched her inappropriately or whatever, insulted her in a way that was an insult on her honor, that warrants a slap. Just a smart aleck response will warrant a punch. And I saw a kid when I was in high school get punched by another girl and like blood coming out of his mouth and everything.
Did he deserve it?
Oh yeah, he was a smart aleck.
Is it possible that people deserve to be hit?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, sure. Indeed.
Completely 100%
Yes.
agree. I'm writing that down as a poll question. For
Is
soon.
it possible that someone deserves to get punched? Yes.
The YouTube question will be. Well, I don't know. I'll figure that out later. But it's gonna be a poll question here. So you're saying that somebody makes like it's almost a more in the moment.
Yeah.
Like it's a things kind of got out of hand and it turns into a punch. Whereas if there's something personal
Yeah.
between the two and she sees you and you're like, there he is, whoosh,
Yeah.
slap. So would I punch or slap Williams?
Slap.
Look at his face.
He's a little sore puppy. That's funny. I'm going to
see-
read Chris's comment
I
here
see
'cause
your
it's funny.
interaction being more of a punch than a slap.
Christopher says, thank you for clearing that up on Wiggins' behalf because you sound like he was punching Wiggins. He's like, it did sound like you were saying, so if I walked up to her and she had done something to me, what I wanted, punch her in the face. Like,
Decker so I can get away.
Yeah. Okay.
If a woman's attacking me, what am I allowed to do?
Say sorry.
To get away.
Apologize.
Cry.
I wait till 3 is the answer.
So the answer to the original question is, which would be worse? You're both saying that a slap would be worse.
Yeah,
coming from a
because of
woman.
the social stigma along with it.
Yeah.
And you said a slap because
And
you
the
think
pain
it
of
would
an
hurt
open
more.
palm. Yeah.
Pain of an
Ow,
open
you can
palm.
see that hand on my cheek.
Have you ever been punched or slapped by anybody?
I've been punched. I got sucker punched once in high school.
Oh,
was it meant for you?
Yeah.
Was it a bully?
Yeah.
Did you deserve it?
It was sucker punch.
No,
it was
it wasn't.
completely, I didn't even know it was coming.
Yeah, I think you've told this story before.
Yeah, it was terrible.
What'd you do?
I didn't know what had happened. So I was
like,
getting
did they
a
get
drink.
you good?
What's that?
Did they get you good?
I think so, but I mean enough that
Must
I don't
be.
really
You can't
remember it
remember.
that well because I was facing away and I was drinking from a drinking fountain and I lifted my head up and bam.
I did not know that.
That's awful.
Isn't it terrible?
Did it? I mean, you still remember it today.
Yeah.
Did you do anything about it after the fact?
Well, I would have done something in the moment, but I really did not know what had happened.
I mean, like, did you follow up? Did you tell
Well,
them?
I had a lot of good friends who followed up on it.
Is that the best way to have it happen, though?
I think so. I didn't know what else you're going to do. I mean, there was no recompense in the moment. I would have had to plan a separate attack. So, yeah.
I'm imagining it, but you're 40.
Ryan waiting in his garage with a brick.
Yeah.
Just in case they show up. What about you, Brad?
Yeah, I've been both punched and slapped.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Did you start the fight?
No, I'm not a fight starter.
No?
Mm-mm.
Did you throw back?
Mm-hmm. That's fine.
Hannah?
I've been slapped by a girl.
Yeah?
Yep. My girlfriend slapped me. I slapped her back. We're still friends.
Man, I kind of want to know more about that story.
Yep.
In sports, I played under the basket in basketball or whatever. It would get really chippy there. And there were times where, I got like kind of manhandled in some ways, shapes, or forms. But I don't know if it's the same if it's in the
Yeah,
middle
it's a
of
little
a sporting
different in
event.
sports.
I'd never been.
I mean, it can be dirty.
Oh, for sure.
For sure.
It's
but
very dirty. And I was like the center of our team, and I was 5'8", and I'd be playing these girls who were 6'2" and 6'3". They were always from smaller schools. And
yeah,
I'd be
I've been
there-
playing up.
I have this picture on the bedroom door of my childhood bedroom door from the newspaper, and I'm shooting the ball under the basket, and I'm at like the top of my height, and this girl is standing flat-footed with her hands up like this, and I'm not even like above her hands.
Oh, wow.
She was tall.
So that was on your door. What was on Brad's door was NKOTB.
YouTube live chat poll. Speaking of who the worst is, I voted someone else.
YouTube live chat poll. Who is the worst? Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, or someone else? With 229 votes, 54% of the people said Joe Biden is the worst. Following up in second place, 24% of the people said Kamala Harris is the worst. 14% say Donald Trump. 8% say someone else. So Joe Biden with a large lead in that poll.
Man. I think it is interesting to think about the culture we're in right now and whether or not it is a necessity at times to use physical response.
There certainly are scenarios. There would have to be. And most of them don't involve you being the aggressor. Somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're pushed to that limit at some point, is there a right time? It'll be an interesting conversation. We'll pick it up again later this week. You're going to want to stick around. We've got the Mark Reardon Show coming up here on 97.1 FM Talk and on the Annie Frey podcast, Annie Frey Show podcast. Andy McCarthy joined us at 12:25 and gave a really, really well thought out reaction to what we know so far about the pending possibility of a January 6th indictment of Donald Trump, what it might mean, how it might happen, and whether or not those charges will go anywhere. Plus, conversation about the Devon Archer testimony that is pending and how detrimental it might be to Joe Biden and Hunter Biden and the family. Stick around. The Mark Reardon Show up next.
Hi, this is Brian with Velocity Home Buyers, and I buy houses cash. If you own a house and want to sell it fast at a fair price, call me at 314-782-3333. I can pay cash and close in as little as 7 days. I buy houses in any condition and any price range in the St. Louis area. I'm a private real estate investor who buys several houses a month, and I want to buy more. I buy inherited houses, divorce houses, behind in payment houses. I even buy my tenant won't pay me the rent houses. Do you own a house that needs updating, but you don't have the time or money for it? Great, because I love buying outdated houses. I buy vacant houses, job relocation houses, and foreclosure houses. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at 314-782-3333. That's 314-782-3333.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a health